I'd be dead. I'd be dead. And not for, I mean, I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
That's heavy.
There was just too much. It was just too much, too fast, too quick. It was the small fragment of everything it could have been. All right,
ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, sorry.
You interrupted him already.
Jeez. Par for the course.
All right, let's go.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
PTSD here.
Oh my God.
God, here we go. Trying to get an intro over here. Fucking working with amateurs. And I'll do it because you brought it up. And I don't know if I'm going to continue doing the intros, but, you know, I'll do it here.
Yeah, run it.
Ladies and gentlemen, a conversation like this does not come cheap. Thank you very much, sir. That person who just whispered, who just interrupted me,
Ad-libs.
is the one and only Byron Wilson. He is an incredible artist manager whose ton of clients has garnered multiple Juno nominations and awards, Grammy nominations. I think he's probably 10 to 12 or 13 million sold singles. Is that right?
Jesus Christ.
Platinums. Definitely diamond, you know. You're looking at me as if you don't know.
I didn't really know these things.
Well, listen, your clients have garnered billions of streams as well. And that is artist manager Byron Wilson here in front of me.
Gracias.
And we talked about this before, but somebody whose career very intertwined with mine. And to the right of me, left of Byron, is one of his clients, the one and only Jessie motherfucking Reyez.
Is that a cat?
Yeah. Those who don't know, Jessie Reyez is an incredible artist from Toronto, Canada.
Who doesn't know, bro?
So we're talking about, and Jessie Reyez has worked with everyone from Calvin Harris, Sam Smith, Dua Lipa, Normani. The list goes on and on. She is a multiple award-winning Juno artist. Is that the right way to say it?
Multiple Juno award-winning.
Multiple Juno award-winning. 5 now? There you go. Yeah. You got 5 of those.
Cinco.
You're really trying out here for the representation.
Thank you for holding down the Latino quota. Appreciate you.
He's used up his whole Spanish lexicon.
There we go. She's also been Grammy nominated. Jessie also has to her name 5 billion streams with writing and artist credits. This is a special one over here as well too, because you are the first artist to be on the manager's playbook, so thank you so much. Appreciate that. And it's also a special one because the 3 of us here all worked together for damn near a decade. So was managing Miss Jessie fucking Reyez for 8 to 9 years. So yeah, I think this is going to be dope, because I think what I haven't had a chance to do really on this podcast is talk to the experience that the artist has in this business. And one thing that I really admire about your career and your trajectory was how much you wanted to understand the business. And I think still to this day, it's super important for artists to understand their business. What was it about you that made you want to know so much about how this all worked? I mean, I can guess why, but in your words, why was that important to you?
Trust issues. Because I had trust issues about coming into this industry. You know, you grow up and you hear so many horror stories about shit going left, and I was on the receiving end of it, and I believed a lot of it. And I wanted to make sure I was educated in what I was walking into. I wanted to make sure that I was well versed. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't giving into my fear, you know, because the more you know about a subject, or the more you know about what you're scared of, the more you kind of shave down this big statue that it appears to be, and then all of a sudden it's a lot smaller because you know a lot more. So I just wanted to be more educated, more prepared, and not get fucked.
And in the process of that, you learned so much that you were able to use to your advantage and be able to figure out the structure. The paranoia was like help you figure out how this business operated. And then to your credit, also kind of it's understated how good you are at negotiation.
It's a good word for it.
It's a good word. What word would you use, Byron?
Negotiation. Yeah. Pro negotiator.
Yeah, absolutely. But on top of the negotiation, go
There's
ahead.
a lot of chirping in this podcast.
100%.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard not to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a cost to me coming on this podcast.
I didn't even think about that. How did you get on this podcast?
Haggled.
He haggled. Colombian haggle right there.
Colombian
A
haggle.
Colombian haggling a Colombian. But yeah, no, I mean, I think let's go. I don't want to go. I think your story's been told a bit on other podcasts and interviews and whatnot. So, you can go and check out the story there. But I really want to talk mostly about the business and the music business and how you operated in it and how you've been able to carve an incredible path, a trailblazer of a path in this music business. Blazing trails, and continue to have an incredibly successful career almost a decade in, and it's amazing to see how much you've been able to succeed in this business and set a standard and really ensure that every facet of your business is being handled and having good people around you. How do you go through the process of selecting people to work with you?
Oof. It depends what, I guess it depends how close someone is going to be. Actually, that's not even fair, because even the people that don't even work that close with me, I put them through the ringer before I let them in. Like, for example, when we were building the band.
Right.
When we were building the band, there was a lot of questions that I didn't know were kind of looked down on in terms of HR. But I was asking a lot of questions of like, yo, what's your energy like? What do you like when you're mad? Do you have any issues about leaving? There was more. You're going to edit
What's
this.
your sign?
What's your sign? Are you in a relationship? Are they going to be pissed that you're leaving? Or does your partner understand that you have something bigger that you want to chase?
Right.
Like, all of these things that I would ask to make sure that whoever was on board understood the bigger picture of what it was that we were building, so that there was no fuckery. And anytime that somebody would come in, no shade, no names, but anytime that somebody would come in that didn't really understand, I'm not going to say the militant era, because I don't think we're militant, but didn't understand the culture of like, get in, do what we're here to do, and then keep it moving, then it was kind of like, oh, you don't really fit here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were specific.
I was very specific, yeah. And then also like relying on y'all to like help me understand like what the next step was, especially when I was reluctant when we were talking about building out the show, and even getting a band before, even like pause on the band, even before agreeing to getting the band, I was so reluctant, and it was just me and Junes, and I was so happy with me and Junes because it had taken so much work to get to the point where I felt comfortable on a stage by myself. So then getting a band, to me,
that's crazy. You couldn't tell, from your first shows that you were not comfortable on that stage.
And that's funny. Yeah, but there was like practice that went into getting comfortable, like singing into water bottles in Toronto parking lots at fucking 1 a.m.
Shoutout 7-Eleven on Royal York.
That's where it was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was right there.
Yeah,
used
getting
to be a
b-boy tips
7-Eleven.
from Mauricio Ruiz, because he used to be a b-boy, which a lot of people didn't know.
B-boy. What was your B-boy name?
I was a lit one too. I think I had it was Juan Mauro Valdez, JMV, Juan Mauro Valdez.
No way.
Yeah. And
nice.
Cement Blocks was the first one, because like when I first started learning, it was just, my fucking feet would crash on the ground.
Cement
so hard.
Blocks?
Cement
Like
Blocks.
that was the chirp.
Yeah, and then that kind of like stuck kind of with the name a little bit.
That's funny.
But yeah, half truth, because I think the other part of it was because I was in music videos, so I also understood a performance side of it, right? I've seen so many artists who were not good performers in music videos, and then I saw ones who were really good, and I really kind of connected on that. And that's where I was
trying to give,
being informed and trying to give you the presence of mind of how to perform, which you already had it on lock, because for those who don't know, Jessie Reyez was also a Toronto organized cheerleader. I'm going to put some people on blast here. But I remember you saying to me one time, I said, what's harder for you, going and performing in front of an audience of your own or a performer as a cheerleader? And you said cheerleader, because you were in front of 60,000 people or 50,000 people for a Grey Cup.
Yeah.
So.
And it wasn't it's not my natural, son of a bitch. It's not my natural, like, for me, singing and creating is first before dance.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
it wasn't my natural. It's funny, I don't remember saying that.
Yeah.
It sounds about right, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was interesting about that, and we were talking about this earlier, is that I remember this being like, the start was you and Junes on stage. Shout out to Junior T, by the way. One of the best people, period.
On the
Yeah,
planet.
people.
Yeah. And he's day one. He's the first person I brought you to, was
Yeah.
Junior T at his studio when he had
Yeah.
one on Young Street. But that was just the start for you and Junior. It wasn't meant to carry on throughout your entire career, but then
I know, but
then
I
you
was
got
so
stuck.
tied to it because I
Yeah.
loved it, and it was so much work to get to the point where I felt comfortable on stage with him. And then I remember y'all being like, "All right, it's time to grow," and I was like, "Fuck you, mean grow? Like, this is great right here. This is perfect." And then I was so reluctant, and then I was like, "All right, cool, let's build it our own." And then y'all were like, "No, we need someone that knows what they're doing." And I was like,
Yeah.
"What do you mean we can't just build this? We can't just build the band?" And you were like, "No, you got to meet Matthew Burnett." And I was like, "All right," and I was reluctant as hell. And it's so funny because Matt is obviously like a gift of a human being too. So
Yeah.
talented.
Did you know that he was the first person he MD'd was you?
Yeah, I know. He told me that.
Yeah.
He told me that.
Outside of Daniel.
Outside
Yeah.
of Daniel
Yeah.
Caesar. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. I love that guy. But it took steps for me to love him. Because when we got started, I was so reluctant to do it.
Yeah, you didn't like anything sounding different.
I didn't like. I mean, honestly, sometimes I still don't. So I prefer. You know, there's people that love going to concerts and they're like, I love when shit sounds different. And I'm like, I came here to listen to the song, but I'm not the majority. I'm not the majority, and it's something that I had to be cognizant of. But anyways, that's how I did it. I
was the same way though.
What do you mean?
Same way
Yeah,
as you.
yeah.
You and I used to always fight. We'd sometimes fight with Bernie to be
like, yo, secco.
less musical.
Yeah, yeah.
Make it more sound like
Less
the
jazz,
record.
I feel like
brother.
And you were like, nah.
I feel like me and Bernie were on the like,
Yeah.
It's supposed
live
to be
show.
live.
it's supposed to be live.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to sound exactly like the
Right.
song. It's supposed
Yeah,
to sound like a
that's
live
right.
version.
Well, you were very important in that conversation as well, to make sure that Jessie would have a bigger stage presence or a band, I should say.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
y'all being on my ass for ears too, because I didn't want to use
Yeah,
ears, because
yeah.
I would always lose my voice, but
We
I
were
was
saying
so
there
committed.
used to be a two shows in a row
Max.
limit,
Remember
which
that?
made it so difficult to
so
route.
difficult.
But it was 2 shows in a row max.
Yeah, and then I did 5 shows. Like I could have floated. I could have
Yeah.
jumped out of my skin. I was so that sounds negative. I was happy. I was really happy when I was
Yeah.
able to complete those 5 shows,
Yeah.
because I never thought that I'd be able. When I keep saying 5 shows, I mean 5 shows back to back to back to back to back.
Which is not easy to do.
No,
No.
it was honestly harder on the crew than it was on Jessie. Jessie was.
Oh, no way.
I was lit.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
voice was fucking crispy.
You could have done
Yeah.
another.
I could have done another.
Yeah. Now it's more so about like how many shows in a row can the crew handle.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Rather
yeah,
than-
yeah, yeah.
Than Jessie.
Yeah. Also, I was in a healthy, like, it's just everything was better, but the point is I didn't know that my body could do that. But I wouldn't have gotten there unless I was willing to, like, let go of the reins. And not just when we're talking about how do you build around and how do you get good people to work with, like,
Yeah.
outside of me asking those sort of questions, but also relying on y'all to give me perspective on how to grow and not be so stuck on what works just because I was finally comfortable, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Comfort's a fucking silent killer if you let it be. So, yeah.
How much now do you not mind getting out of your comfort zone?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I live for it.
Yeah.
And when I don't, I try to remind myself that I'm like, this might be an opportunity right now. This might be an opportunity for a lesson. So I love it. I might not love it in the moment always, but
Yeah.
in retrospect, I always love it.
How important is it to
So
ensure that the career is moving forward?
So right now, it's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now, it's very important because there's still goals that I haven't hit.
Okay.
You know? So, yeah, right now, it's important.
What is it? That's funny that you talk about the goals thing, and I'll get into it. I think we're just getting right to it. Is this conversation of an artist who broke? And for those who don't know, maybe Byron, if you want to describe what an artist who broke is, or like what that term means.
It's like the public's perception of like, I mean, there's different. Everyone has a different perception or definition of it, but like, once it's like critical mass, I guess, is what the common
Yeah.
thing. What the
Maybe in the
person-
industry.
Yeah, in the industry.
Yeah. But as a general public, I don't even think they're thinking of it that way.
No.
Yeah. Do you think you broke?
I don't know. No, not to the level that I want, because it's the thing is I'm very conscious of being sensitive of people hearing that haven't achieved half of what I have yet, and then they could be like, "The fuck are you talking about?"
For sure.
And I have that awareness enough to know that I'm like, there's a lot that I've accomplished that I worked so hard for, that if you would have told me 10 years ago, this would have been the mark.
The pinnacle.
This would have been the pinnacle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like some goals are still the same as they were 10 years ago, goals that I have yet to hit.
Yeah.
But there are some that are different, that fall under the umbrella of the public's perception of what critical mass would be.
Exactly. But on the outside looking in, if you, 10 years ago, if you're at where you're at today, you're like, oh, it's superstar.
Yeah.
Living your dreams.
But now you're inside the business. I think we all feel this way, that you haven't necessarily broke to what our standards are.
What our standards are.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because we're so
Immersed.
Exactly. Yeah, I find that super interesting. To me, I think the bar for that is even not so much critical mass, because like that means that you're a household name, right? But it's really hard to be a household name these days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can name maybe like 5 or 10 that are household names.
Yeah. No, it's just, but I was about to make it personal, but you're talking in general.
No, go ahead.
The goals are very specific and household name isn't on it. But it might be
byproduct of it.
It might be a byproduct of some of the goals, but that's not the goal.
To me,
I don't necessarily think that a household name
means you broke. I don't think so either.
I think a lot of artists break that might not be household names.
I think what that means, I think for me personally, and I ask both you guys, arenas.
Yeah.
If you can do arenas, then you broke.
You broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North America.
Isn't that ironic? Because that sounds like such a, it's like an antonym, like broke would be no money, but when you do arenas, you broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What is it to you?
I want a song on top 5, ideally number 1, but I want 2 on top 5, one of mine and one that I wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
simultaneously.
Simultaneously.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then obviously the Grammy, because that's still the it's a promise I made to myself a long time ago that I just want to see fulfilled while I'm alive. And
okay,
eye contact.
all right.
But sometimes award shows and shit be fucking
late.
Making a parade and they be late as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want a parade once I'm dead. But you know this. I've told everybody. Chelito knows. Camila knows. I don't want nobody at my fucking funeral who didn't fuck with me when I was alive. I'll make chandeliers shake, and that goes for a lot of people. So that's what I mean. I want shit when I'm alive, man. Give me love when I'm alive, or save it.
Yeah, that's important, man. Get those flowers while you're here. You know.
Yeah, but also I'm aware that I'm I say that and it sounds very, very cocky, as if I'm like I'm due. But I also know that I've worked and I continue to work on my craft to like become a better musician, you know, and work on better songs and be more open and be more willing to get out of my comfort zone and challenge myself to just grow and be better. So maybe I just haven't made the right thing yet.
No, I don't even know so much if it's not you haven't made the right thing, to be honest with you. And I know Grammys is a specific goal because that's something that you wanted as you were a child. But when you get in this business, the reality is Grammys is a lot of politicking.
It is a lot of politics.
It's a lot of politicking.
So when I say maybe I haven't made the right song yet, maybe I haven't made the right moves yet. It also fall under that umbrella.
That could be that as well too. What do you think?
I think it goes back to sometimes like that's specifically a promise that you made to yourself pre like being in the business.
Pre-understanding.
And that's understanding.
Yeah.
So it's
now that I understand
it's interesting now you understand it doesn't hold that same weight.
Much, yeah, it's
weight.
different. It doesn't hold the same weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
Like if you got everything else but not that, you're not like
I'm not crushed.
You're not crushed.
No,
I don't
blessed.
think it would even phase you at that point.
Yeah.
Which is
it's just a matter of resolve at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a matter of resolve.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I feel that though. I'd still love to get one, but it's not. I'm sleeping good without it.
Without one.
Yeah.
It's not like
there's so many other measures of success and measures of like bucket list things that come with being in this business that like when you go to your grave, way more important. You're seeing the world. You're traveling with people that you love.
Yeah.
Like all that shit. There's people coming to your shows screaming the words back. Like no matter what that at the end of the day you get from that organization, like there's millions of people that are giving you something every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Yeah. How important is work ethic in this business?
Very.
It's a loaded question because
Yeah.
I always talk about work ethic and how
Yeah.
important it is. But
So
I haven't had a chance to ask an artist, what does work ethic look like in terms of being in this business and elevating your career?
Oof. Like sacrifice. It looks like sacrifice. It looks like focus. It looks like hunger. It looks like unbridled ambition. It looks like being ready and willing to learn. And it's arguably more important than talent.
Sure.
I
You
guess
know?
what separates the winners, or not, the talent from the ones that actually push through is
Yeah.
the ones that push through are the ones with the work ethic.
Yeah. And I don't think, I feel like I don't think I'm saying anything or we're saying anything that people don't already know.
No, I think some people don't know. I think some people think if they get like one viral hit out there,
Then they're
then that
blessed.
they're made and that's it. And you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe for some people that's what it is. But if you want legacy, like you got to really work for it. You got
gotta
to really
really work for it.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
When we first connected, the one thing that I realized was how I knew it was gonna work. And this is, you came to Remix. I introduced you to Remix Project, and the way that I introduced you to Remix Project, we talked about it, and I said, "Hey, if you're really serious about this business, you should look into this thing." But I don't know if you remember this, but it wasn't even me who said, "Here's the application you should apply." The way that it went down is I put it on my Facebook, and I said, "If any artists are serious about the music business,
Wait.
you should apply for the Remix Project." Yeah, I was just thinking about this the other day.
Crazy.
So I didn't tell you, and it was the last day that applications were due. It was the last day. And for those who don't know, the Remix Project is a nonprofit organization for kids at risk, between the ages who don't have access between the ages of 17 to 24. It may have changed now, but they give them free schooling for recording, creative arts, business of music,
Access to mentorship.
Pretty much anybody and everybody in Toronto who's in the industry has some type of relationship with the Remix Project. It's changed a lot of lives. It really is ground zero for a lot of what you see on a global stage.
Yeah.
So many pivotal, important, I don't want to say important, but like game-changing individuals came out of the Remix Project. And you're one of those people. You were a participant in there. Arguably, I would say you're the most successful participant. Definitely the most successful artist out of the project. But I think you and Future the Prince might be battling who's the most successful participant, because he was a participant in the project. But that's what it is. And I posted it on my Facebook, and it was the last day. And then you hit me a day later, and you're like, "Yo, I applied." I was like, "Oh, dope."
No way.
That's how it went down.
I don't remember that.
That's how it went down. Yeah.
No
So,
shit.
if I didn't post that, I told you about it like
You
a
told me
couple of
about
months
it
prior.
months before, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was like lax.
Kind of went away. And then I posted it on Facebook.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Real talk.
And the day before it was the last day.
The last day of applications being submitted. Yeah. And then you went, you're like, "Yo, I applied." I was like, "Oh, dope." I didn't even think about like posting that for you to go and apply or any of that. None of that.
No way.
Yeah. That's how it went down.
Crazy.
And then you got into the program, and the rest is history. But what I saw, because I consider myself to have really good work ethic, is what I saw is that your work ethic was matching mine, if not exceeding it. This one was in there, and this is, before, I don't think you've even heard anything at this point from Jessie, but
No.
this one is in there basically like the school would close at 10 p.m. Everybody would leave except, some people. Like I'd be in there staying late because I was director in residence, I think is the title of mine, and my production company operated out of there. But like if I wasn't there, if I was there, she's hanging out because I'd be in there working late, and then she'd be working and doing her thing. But if I wasn't there, this girl would hide behind a door and wait till everybody left, because she knew that the dean of the program was still there working on his music as well. So everybody would leave. Yeah, exactly. It's Daniel Daly, who ended up the music I think he was working on was Division. Yeah. But she would hide for
in the production room
for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then once you would hear the music going on in the studio, then she'd get back to work.
Crazy.
And then Daniel would come and be like,
and
yo.
then he'd hear vibrations and he'd be like, who the fuck is still here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the work ethic that, you know, I saw that early on. I was like, oh, this one is like serious about this thing. And then it can't go understated as well to the relationship with King Louie. Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. I love that motherfucker. He,
shout out to King Louie. Shout out to Doe.
Shout out to Doe. Shout out to King Louie. Shout out to Obama.
Yes. And yeah, not the President Obama. We're talking about Obama who's in that crew there, who's in Mubu.
Yeah. Shout out Chicago, man. King Louie came to speak at the remix project, and I remember I walked into the studio and the room was full, and I was like, oh shit, and I introduced myself to everybody and I left. And then when I had left, Gav was like, oh yeah, she's one of the participants, let me play you one of the songs. And he played him this one song I had called Statuses that was about subtweets before subtweets were called subtweets. And then he came out and he was like, that's about subtweets or whatever. And I was like, yeah. He's like, that's dope. And I was like, thanks. And then he did his talk, and then it was great. It was motivating. And then they were done, and he came over and he was like, oh no, his manager hit us, right? His manager was like, yo, Louie said he wants to work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Doe said Louie wants to work. Let's link after. They're going to figure out a studio, something like that. And then no studio was figured out, but we had a condo, and it was Ricardo
Ricardo Chung.
Right. It was Ricardo's.
Shout out Ricardo.
Shout out Ricardo.
Shout out Tough Juice.
And we went there, and it was so funny because everyone that got invited was pretty much like a producer, a rapper, but like people that had shit to play. And I didn't have shit to play. I have nothing to play. And I walk in there, and it's Wonder Girl, and it's Sean Leon, and it's Redway, rest in peace, was in there. And
Spooky Black was in there.
And Doc McKinney. It was a heavy
Spooky
room.
Spooky Black was there randomly.
Yeah, it was a heavy
in Toronto.
room.
Yeah.
And I'm there with my guitar, and we're
Yes.
like, fuck. And I was so nervous. I'll never forget being so nervous. And I remember thinking that this was an opportunity that I couldn't blow it, regardless of how nervous I was. And then Louie was rolling his blunt, and I was like, fuck this, I'm doing it. And I got up and I was like, do you want to jam? And he was like, what? And I was like, do you want to jam?
King Louie, a drill rapper from Chicago.
Yeah. He was like,
Bob Marley?
Yo. and then I started playing, and then he started he started freestyling, and then we ended up vibing, and then we ended up on the balcony, and then we made Living in the Sky.
Yes.
And then that night, I remember, actually not that night, that afternoon. That's funny, I talked about this yesterday when I did the Journey thing, shout out Remix and Remix Ambassadors. We walked downstairs and we went to that little restaurant. Do you remember this?
Yeah, Liberty.
And we were having like chicken wings or something, and
Yeah.
it was like the first moment that we were like, something's happening. We're doing this.
Yeah.
I think
I think I said to you, I'm like, yeah, I think I should manage you or something like that.
Yeah, like that was the day that shit. But I just remember that sentence, like, we're doing this.
Yeah, we're doing this. Yeah, we're doing this. Let's go.
Yeah. And then
no experience.
no experience.
Just trying to figure this thing the fuck out. Just like how you were.
Yeah.
My experience was the extent of like
Music videos.
videos.
Yeah.
And working with managers and artists.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of bad managers.
Mhm.
And really good artists.
Yeah.
And
And
then
really good managers.
one of
I remember you always used to say that.
Yes.
You always used to be like, oh, there's a lot of bad ones.
yeah. There's a few good ones.
A lot of bad ones.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, exactly.
Funny.
You were one of the most terrible managers I ever met.
Yeah. And then that night, we were so gung ho, and this is why like momentum is so fucking important that people forget to like understand that you can't fucking. Oh my god, you can't. And I'm guilty of it. Like I need to be reminded of this sometimes, but you know sometimes we need people to help us remind ourselves of the knowledge that we already have. But you have to fucking take advantage of momentum. And that night, momentum was in the air. And I was like, I got to get this done tonight. And then you hit Ricky. And Ricky was like, yeah, we could open up the studio for her. And because of Remix Project was the only reason that I knew how to like engineer myself on Pro Tools. So then I ended up recording my shit that night. Yeah. And I was like, did the guitar, did some shitty drum beat on the guitar, was like back and forth just to record my own shit, record my own vocals from the booth to the room, from the booth to the room, all night. Got something decent. And then I can't remember if we sent it. Yeah, I sent it straight like that.
Yeah,
and then Louie sent back the verse, and then Moose niced it up.
Yeah, he put the production at
and
the
then,
end of that.
Yeah. And then Louie released it, and then Chance liked it, and Chance heard it.
This was months later. That he released it. We were in Atlanta for A3C.
Yeah.
When it came out.
Yeah.
But we were also strategically, we were thinking as well too, it's better to put it out as King Louie featuring Jessie, even though you did 90% of the majority of the song, but because he had a name, it was like it'll make more sense instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
You put out Living in the Sky. We're in the studio in Atlanta, I think that same week or in and around that time, and can't forget about Nico Nice as well. He did some crazy artwork.
Shout out Nico Nice.
And
his fucking lit ass eye.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
Taste is so like.
Yeah, his taste is.
Taste is so underrated.
Yeah.
Taste is so underrated for how relevant that shit is in somebody's like aesthetic and what somebody's putting forward. Like, and that boy has it. Yeah,
definitely. And you caught a lot of people's attention in Chicago. I would argue that more people knew you in Chicago than Toronto at the time. Yeah, people knew you in Toronto, and I still say this to this day. I don't care if it's 2024 and the music business or things have changed because of social media, but I feel like if your home city can't claim you, like, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about. I think your home city really needs to claim who you are. And in the scene, everybody knew who Jessie Reyez was, in large part due to the remix and a lot of introductions that you did and some showcases. Mm-hmm. But like on a larger scale, I think Chicago knew more about you than Toronto did because of that record with King Louie.
Yeah, Chicago was the first place in the States to fuck with me.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes for most artists, that's sometimes how home grabs you, is like they have to see somebody leave.
That's at least, you know what? It's in Toronto, that used to be very fucking normal. Mm-hmm. It used to be really normal to be like, well, the States started fucking with you. Okay, now we'll
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And in my case, it was Chicago fucked with me first.
Yeah, it's true.
Chicago fucked with me first.
And that was when Chance the Rapper, he said, I think this is one of my favorite King Louie songs.
And tweeted it. Yeah. And then we linked up with their squad, and then we started going to every single fucking show. We became a shadow to that squad, to the point that it might have been a little weird. So shout out to them for letting us just hang.
Nah, they were cool, man.
So cool. We learned so much, man. Shout out Pat, too. Like, everyone was just mad cool, and it was so sick as someone that had no fucking, like, no experience, no knowledge, no nothing, and being able to, like, watch him command a stage, being able to watch how they moved, being able to, like, it was just so beneficial.
It was a different time, and, you know, like, I know Chance and Pat, they're going through their things, and I hope that the things are resolved, but, like, you can't discredit how they changed the game.
They changed the game.
Pat and Chance absolutely changed the game. If you want to take that away from them, go for it. But we were there. We were outside and we saw it firsthand. Yeah. And we saw it so much. I don't know if you guys remember this, but every single meeting when the bidding war started happening with you, every meeting people were talking about Chance and Pat and trying their best to discredit them.
Discredit it.
Because they were afraid that
was going to be the
new
norm.
The model.
And it started, and it did become that. Yeah. But Pat, specifically with me, I mean, you know, he was, he's younger than me, but he was a mentor to me. He was super helpful. And I had bare questions for that guy. Yeah. And he always answered them. It was always super helpful. And I remember him saying it. He's like, you don't need the record labels. You don't need them. And, you know, like, you can do it this way. And he's like, and I remember saying to him, because we were talking about distribution, I go, well, how did you put the music out? He's like, TuneCore. I was like, what? That's it?
$10.
Yeah. And I know people want to talk about the Apple Music thing and everything, but it's like, yeah, they still own 100% of the copyrights, whether Apple Music gave them a bag or not. You can put the music in front of people, but if the people don't gravitate towards it, then they don't gravitate towards it. Carl, I want to say, and maybe some other people there, identified that people were connecting with Chance's music, and they put it in front of more people. Back when TikTok wasn't a thing and editorial was, people started really fucking with Chance. But like, that was all completely independent, man. Yeah, you built your relationships through the way, but that's what you do. It's a business of relationships. That's what you do. So, yeah, shout out to those guys because they were super instrumental in our career
Yeah.
and what we did. But yeah, that's when in Toronto started coming around and hearing about you. But then we went to LA.
Yeah, well, shit started growing, and then you sent stuff over to Busy to get some advice and some ears on it.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then the team started growing, and then around that time was when you sent it to Jermī.
Yep.
And then Jermī was like, "This shit's kind of dope."
Mm-hmm. I was telling earlier. I was like, I remember him having like a very blasé, like, yeah, it's cool.
Shut up,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, and then
No way,
and
that
then-
was it.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it's cool. She's got dope tone.
Not with me.
Yeah,
When we spoke.
and then
We
he hit me and he's like, yo, he loves it, and I was like, oh, sick. He was playing it very fucking cool with me.
No way.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Played it very
Played
fucking
it very cool.
That's funny.
But yeah, Jermī was like pivotal in I mean,
And so much.
yeah, like I don't think I would have made the move to LA if he hadn't kind of like started that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we moved.
That's crazy.
When we did the pub deal with him,
Yeah.
we got that check.
With Sunreal.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. When you say we,
Yeah.
you mean Sunreal.
yeah.
right?
Me and Sunreal, when we got that check, we basically used that to get to LA, and then Jermī helped us, was floating us around and helping with the label conversations, and then we made the
Oh,
final
wow.
move
Okay.
in 2015, and then we started. I joined the team February 2016.
Yeah.
By way of like showing Jermī and you guys were coming to the crib at that
Yeah,
time,
crashing at your house
crashing at the house.
on an air mattress.
Yeah,
Tough.
yeah, that shitty air mattress. Yeah,
Bananas. Yeah, and
there's
then
cat hair everywhere.
yeah, and I had wicked allergies, but,
Oh, yeah,
but I didn't
that's
have that
right.
much money, so we were staying at the crib,
Deal with it.
dealing
Yeah,
with it.
there's a right
No,
egg
we were
down the
pulling up
street.
to LA. We were figuring out every which way possible. Man.
3 sessions a day was
Yeah.
the norm.
No, but
Yeah.
even D-Lo was letting us crash in his condo
D-Lo,
as well
we
too.
crashed
Yeah.
at D-Lo's condo too.
Yeah.
The
People were
Hesby.
just trying to help however they could, you know. Hesby, that's
Yeah.
that's wow. I
Yeah.
forgot that was the name of it, but like everybody was. People saw like
believed.
well, because I think a major part of it is your talent for sure. They believed, but you saw we were working our asses off.
willing shit into existence. Like we just refused to take a L.
Yeah.
Refused.
Yeah, everything was gonna be a win somehow.
Yeah.
I think going back to that work ethic thing you talked about is like that's another important part about the artists that push through is that you refuse to take the L, but you all start taking L's every day.
Yeah.
Every day is a
nonstop.
fucking L.
No, every day's an L.
Every day's an L, but you don't those L's don't even phase you. Like you gotta let L's roll off your
Yeah.
back
You
because
just
really, if
do
you break down
obstacles.
this industry and you break down people, you're taking more L's than you're taking
Way
W's.
more.
Yeah.
Way more. And
You're
can't be afraid
taking
of
the
it.
L's just to get the one W. And
But
It's
that's
your-
like
it's-
that.
it's
That's
your
like that
shit that you
Kobe
say.
stat.
Yeah.
That's like that. Like how many? If you
Yeah,
really
yeah.
work out how many fucking shots to why you have that many, you've missed a lot.
You missed a lot.
You've missed
Yeah.
a lot. But that's what it takes.
yeah,
What were you gonna say?
Well, you say it all the time. Feel faster.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
there was
just
a lot of that.
it's just failing over and over and over, and then your definition of like what a W is obviously changes, because like, you know, you do 1 million streams first week. Some people that's a W. You get to a certain
100%.
point in your career, you're like, that's not a W anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So even as you succeed, your definition of a W changes, and then so by nature of that, you're just taking more L's again,
Yeah.
and it's just trying to level up.
Well, so when you came on board at that time,
Mm-hmm.
this is
2016.
2016.
Yeah, February 2016.
Fuckery.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first thing that Byron heard was figures from your trip in Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, picked you up
And-
from the airport.
Yeah.
And this is
Lady
8
figures.
And this is 8 months
I was like,
before. You're what?
I was like, no, I remember I was telling earlier. I was like, I felt like the cornball like LA manager being like, "This is gonna change your life." But I said it to you in the car. I was like, this is like,
And I
this
was
is
so
it.
emotional, I didn't even hear you.
like this is it. This is like everything needs to be about this. I was like,
Yeah.
everything needs to be about this song.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember it took a little bit of like convincing because
Yeah,
you were like, I don't
didn't
think
even
so.
hear you.
Yeah,
didn't
and I was
hear
like,
you.
no, because you guys already had, the thing is, you guys already had the majority of Kiddo, minus I think Figures and Great One.
Crazy.
Everything
no
else
way.
was done.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And so it was like
We had
it
it
was
was
like so
we had
supposed to be
we had
up.
a track listing and everything.
yeah. So when Figures came, I was like, this is the one, and you guys were kind of like, no, we already got the project,
Whoa,
but it was like,
that was I did not say that. So.
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Well,
maybe I
it
heard
was,
Figures and I said this is
yeah. I think it was you were resistant on it, but it was just like.
But you know what helped get you across the line was because Dana also identified it and was like, no, this is the record.
Yeah.
And I remember going to Spotify and we were playing the EP, and I'll never forget Nate Wozniak as well. He's like,
Figures is it.
these songs are dope, because we were thinking about putting out Fuck It first.
Fuck it
Fuck
first. I
it.
thought
Yeah.
fuck it.
No,
You
fuck
want to
it.
put fuck it first.
Yeah. Wait,
Good
like
start.
like great
Fuck
start. But yeah, but fuck it. This, and he's like,
Bring on,
that
right?
song's cool, but he's like, but this Figure song
Yeah.
is
it?
and everybody knew. But I remember when we first. This is now when the bidding wars, and
Yeah.
I'm going a little bit ahead. But I remember going into Mr. Morgan took us to 40 studio, and I'm pretty sure that was the first time 40 ever heard the music, and we played him the whole EP. And
Yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah.
Wow, I remember that.
you remember now? Yeah. And he was like, he's like, oh, you got some interesting new sounds over here. But this song Figures, I don't know if you knew that you're writing a hit or not, but this the record.
But he delivered that praise in such a funny way, because he was like, these fucking songs that are only 4 fucking chords, and all of a sudden it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
He said something along that line. Along those lines. He was like, because he was saying like how it's so fucked that, like, you know, sometimes people work so hard for these
on
things,
something,
and then you have this one song that could be 4 chords and it's fucking it.
Yeah.
And it's fucking it.
It.
It's it. And I was like, true.
Yeah.
It's like what the 100 gigs that just came out with 40. Sometimes these things happen. You know, when he saw that when he said that. Sometimes they happen. But yeah, shout out to 40 as well too. He's very giving with his.
I love 40. Yeah, very
Great
giving with his
people.
knowledge.
Yeah, super.
Very giving with his knowledge.
And but yeah, everybody, and that song was out at that time, you know, a few months. But I don't know if he ever heard it. But he was like, "This is a smash."
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up. Then you were like, okay, when you heard it a couple of different times from a few different people, because the one thing, and this is what's really interesting to have you here as well too, is the relationship and the dynamic between management and artists. It's a very close one. It's a very personal one. So at certain times, the artist and the manager can tune out each other,
100%.
and you'll tune each other out, right?
Not out of like disrespect, not out of
No.
like
It's not even
lack of
intentional.
appreciation. It's literally it's the same way that if you like you sleep in your bed every day, and you're not gonna appreciate it being a bed because you're just used to it. You're used to it being comfortable, so you don't
Right.
like this is part of my everyday reality. So it doesn't really make a dent in your day
Yeah,
anymore. Sometimes
It's like your folks or your best friend.
That's
or
exactly
something.
what I equated
Yeah,
to.
it's like if your folks or your best friends telling you something all the time, you're like, that's cool, whatever. But then as soon as somebody else
it kind of
says the
hits
same
different
shit of-
sometimes. You're like,
It
oh
hits
shit.
differently.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because you're in constant communication. Like
Yeah.
the only way this shit works for an artist to be able to get to a level of success, at least how I've seen it, I don't know about you guys, is like you gotta be lock and step, artist and manager.
Yeah.
Like that's the most important
Yeah,
relationship.
same page.
Right? Same page. But again, there are times that managers can't get through because of what you said. Not like trying to diss or anything.
No.
But then that's why there are times where you have to
The tertiary, then the
what? To say that again?
Fuck off.
No. I don't know what you just said. You said the tertiary?
Yeah, like as in not
Always using these words. I don't know what to.
as in not like, you know, the people that are not in the core circle. You know,
Yeah,
even though they're
okay.
still part of the team, but the people that are not on the core circle.
Exactly.
Like Dana or like anybody else that would have been like, which not to diminish her role by
No,
any
of course
means, like,
not.
she was so and continues to be so instrumental in what we do, but having the sounding board of people you trust that aren't necessarily right next
in
to
the
you.
trench, like that.
Yeah.
In terms of like a sounding board being like, yo, that's it, and you're like,
You're like,
huh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you put that record out.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this before a couple of times that I'll do it with you here, and I don't know if you remember this, but before we put out the video, it was Dana's email in the description, and
you asked for us to change it.
You said Dana's dope and everything, but like, why aren't your guys' emails on here? So,
I said that?
yeah.
Mhm.
No way.
And shout out to Dana. I mean, like, love her, but you said you're like, nah, it should be your guys' email. And that was like the last thing we changed on the description.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And we changed it to our emails 48 hours later,
Yeah.
24 hours
It was
later.
mayhem. I remember y'all being like, look at this. And it was just like nuts.
Mhm.
It was insanity. Yeah. Because you came out of nowhere. To Dana's credit, she hooked up, it mattered a lot more back then, but the, premieres and the blog premieres and the Zane Lowe
the
premiere.
Zane Lowe premiere and the Fader premiere.
I'll never forget Zane, and shout out to Zane, but like you could clearly tell he's reading a piece of paper when he's introducing figures.
Mm-hmm.
I think he even like messed up a word or something. There's
Yeah.
something there that you can't understand what he's saying, and then when the song is done,
It's a
It's like,
him.
That's a hem.
whoa.
That's
It's
a
it's
hem.
That's a
It's
hem. That's a hem. And he
Yeah.
went off about it for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's when we were like, oh, wow, we got something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came out, New Music Friday, again, editorial. And fucking 24 hours later, the entire world of the music business was hitting up our emails. And then we took 6 months to figure out what we
the
want.
fuck we were doing.
No, I yeah, a little bit.
But it was
Yeah.
It was intentional.
It was
very
intentional.
intentional. I don't say that like we were fucking blind going in, but I mean like fucking figuring out how the fuck to move in a room full of vultures. We were fucking figuring it the fuck out.
Yeah, because none of us ever experienced that level. That
Yeah.
level. Yeah.
So it's different.
Why do you think that was so important to take our time with that?
To make the right decision. To make sure that we weren't like tying ourselves in a contract that I'd look back on and be fucking disappointed about. To make sure that we were seeding out who was genuine and who wasn't, because when there's blood in the
important to
water.
Jessie.
Mhm.
I don't.
Yeah.
To be honest, for me, it wasn't that important. But you were
Yeah.
meticulous about this.
No.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was
Maybe we can edit it out. We'll edit it out if anything. But I remember, we'll never forget this. There was 2 things with Jessie whenever we went into these meetings.
Mhm.
This is why sometimes we didn't. There's no way. You and I could have been like, this was the guy. This is where it should be. And you're like, he didn't look me in the eye. That was a big deal for you.
Yeah.
He didn't look me in the eye. And the other thing was, whenever somebody would say her or she and didn't say your name, Jessie,
Yeah, or address me directly.
or address you directly, that was so important to you. And
I remember not getting it.
you
being
not
like,
getting it.
I was like-
Well, I understood it being Colombian because
Because
Yeah,
it's a language thing.
It's a language thing. But I remember being like, I would never be offended if someone said he to me.
While you're in the room. Oh
While
yeah,
I'm in
he
the
says that all the time. He doesn't even care.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
But I think also,
Fine.
it's the thing that we.
But I
don't
get it.
But we don't understand it because it's not, the plight of a woman, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is
Regarding the eye contact.
Yeah. I know it's funny
just
because I beg
the
it
level
now.
of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I beg it now like crazy. And I'm like,
Interesting
You
that
know,
someone wouldn't
yeah.
do that. Like walk into a room and introduce themselves to you.
yeah.
And, like,
And it's
bypass
funny
me.
because, yeah.
I remember someone doing that in the studio. I won't say
Yeah.
who, but
Yeah.
and then you got up and you're like, "Hi, my name is
Hi.
Jessie Reyez."
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
this kid- you're not." Yeah, because sometimes people think that the girls in the studio will be like, some just there for the party or whatever.
Or
and she's
sometimes
like,
straight
"Nah."
up people are just don't know how to act around the artist.
They didn't even know that she was an
Oh.
artist at the time. But no, yeah, I guess during
There,
the
there
label
is
stuff,
there
yeah.
is sometimes that where people
Yeah.
are just like a little bit nervous around the artist, and
Yeah,
you can
but
tell
I didn't
that
have
they're.
nothing to my name for it to
Yeah.
merit any nerve. It was
Yeah.
just disrespect.
Mhm.
It was like
No, but I mean, at the time with the bidding war stuff, everybody was,
I guess
Yeah.
suppose. Oh, you mean yeah.
yeah,
I'm talking about like in studio with other artists because I don't know how many artists do, but all the execs.
yeah, for
knew.
sure.
Yeah.
But
I think also it was like just learning how, like we really took advantage of learning how like all the different departments would work and shit. Like
Yeah.
like when we would meet with the chairman or the A&R or whatever, we'd be like, oh cool, can we meet with like marketing and can we meet with digital and
Can
can
we
we
meet
see
with
like the
everybody?
D2C team
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
I remember doing all
I
those like
remember that as
literally
well,
meeting
too.
with like the merchandise teams back when the labels had the merch teams
yeah,
and like sitting through all that stuff,
Yeah,
crazy.
you know?
Yeah.
we were asking all kinds of
Yeah.
questions.
What
Yeah,
happens if this?
international.
What happens if
International.
And it's nice because people knew that we had like everybody like knocking on the door. So because we had that leverage, we took full advantage of being able to like lift the hood and ask every single question, whether appropriate
Yeah.
or not.
sit
we
with
were
we would
asking
sit with
everything.
commerce and then we did the UK and met with all the UK counterparts just to
we
be
met
like,
with
right.
all the UK counterparts.
to just be like, okay, so how do y'all work with the US and how does this?
I mean, because we were thinking about signing it potentially in the UK.
Directly,
Everything
yeah.
there was nothing off the table for
Yeah.
us. We were just like, and nothing off the table also meaning like there was also the route of doing this independently because, and that's where I remember looking at the TuneCore account one time and the statement, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I saw the number that was in there, like I think maybe like a month later.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of
Shit.
money. And I hit you and I'm like, yo, Biz, have you seen this TuneCore statement? And you're like, nah. I'm like, log on. And we saw the number, you're like, fuck. So we were in no hurry.
Yeah.
I used to say it all the time. I think the number that I saw
Funny.
there was like the equivalent of what the salary would have been for a lawyer, a doctor, and engineer for a month's pay combined. That's what I saw in that. And I was like, hey, we're chilling. We can do this ourselves if we want to.
Yeah.
We're chilling. We're taking our time. We're going to figure this out.
It's funny.
And again, that took for me is credit to Pat, because Pat was like, he's like, take your time. Because I remember there was a phone call that it was like a moment that I was like really pumped about, but I called Pat right afterwards because it was a lot of fucking anxiety for me, because it was stressful. It was fun, but it was stressful.
Yeah.
Because we were trying.
You don't want to fumble it.
You don't want to fumble.
You don't want to fumble the moment.
Our careers, we were very we knew how badly we wanted to make this work. I remember calling Pat, and he goes, "You feeling it?" I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "Go take all the meetings. Even if you're not going to do a deal somewhere, go take the meetings, go learn. The worst thing that could happen is that they introduce you to some of their artists, and maybe you could do some features with them." That's what he said. And right after that call, I was like, "Yo, let's go take these meetings." And we were,
Doing the rounds.
months of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
It was a crazy time.
Crazy time.
Crazy time. A lot of dinners, a lot of free dinners.
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 But it was important. I think, and now in today's day and age, would you say that artists, I mean, even then, artists didn't necessarily need the record labels, but do you think if you're going to give advice to an artist or a new manager?
Now.
Yeah, now. What's the advice?
I mean, honestly, you always want to make sure that you're garnering leverage. I don't think that that's changed, and right now leverage looks like numbers. I mean, back then leverage looked like numbers too, but now they look like different numbers on particular apps. And it's in your best interest to garner that, and whether or not it looks like numbers or it can look like even the impetus of you starting a community, because that's an indication of what's possible. If you're able to start to cultivate a fucking solid community, it doesn't need to be in the millions of numbers. That's an indication of what you're capable of, And so that can be projected, and that can also garner you leverage in a situation where you want to use a label's money to help fund your own shit. That being said, there's also loans. There's also other ways to go about it. There's also, if you're in Canada, there's the benefit of bursaries and things like that. So I don't know if you necessarily need it, but what you do need, and that goes without question, is a good team. That's something that it just hasn't changed. And as much as somebody could be like, yeah, but you could go viral on TikTok, or you could go viral on this and whatever the fuck, great, that might hold you over, but that's not going to give you a solid career that nobody could test within 5 years or 10 years,
What's the most valuable role that your managers have played throughout your career?
Counsel on decisions where y'all have a better vantage point than I did.
We're seeing it differently.
You're seeing it differently. Yeah, seeing it differently. And helping deeply with, just sounds funny, but helping deeply with self-reflection for anywhere that I was particularly holding myself back. Yeah, that's essential. And I've said this before, where I'm like, it's the best analogy is I could hold something of so much value in front of me, and all I'll see is red, and I'm like, it's red, and y'all will be sitting there, be like, Jessie, that's a rose you're looking at, and all you're seeing is red, and it's happened more than once where I'm like, that really helped. And I guess it goes hand in hand, yeah, because you guys having a different vantage point, and also that applies to both of my points, because when I said it first, I meant for outside and like dealing with other people and dealing with other plans, but also same point, but inside. For understanding the lay of the land inside and understanding where I had to let go of the reins and where I had to challenge myself and all that.
That was difficult for you. You know, from what I remember is decisions. I mean, you've always been at the for every single. This is where I think you're an amazing artist as well too, and business person, is because you have innately you understand kind of how to move in a room full of vultures, and I think you always have really good decision making qualities, like really good. But what ends up happening is when everything starts coming at you, it comes at you really fucking fast. Like especially when you all of a sudden have a song and everybody wants to sign you. So then what things could happen is, you get the bottleneck of trying to make decisions.
And you get paralyzed in indecision.
And I think you've sometimes may have had some...
I've suffered from it.
You suffered, yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it that, but you know what I mean? You've had your challenges with it. At what point, and I've noticed as of late that, you are better at delegating that stuff. And actually, when I was working with you, because, I don't work with you guys anymore, and I stepped away from the business in 2022.
Well, mines are dabbling, but yeah.
Well, we could say
that's one of the price point of coming on this podcast.
Well, we could say that. So I'm on a consulting basis, right? So, which is dope. But even then, I started to see that you were getting a lot better at delegating. What was it? Was there like a specific moment that you were like, you know what, I can't be in all these decisions. I gotta like let my team do their thing.
Do you remember a specific moment?
I don't.
Do you?
I think that over the last, I think there's waves, and it depends on how crazy it is. And I feel like when there's a lot coming at you, you definitely will dial back on, like, you'll be like, yo, y'all run with that. Like, especially on the music front, like between you and Jermī, there's been a lot of like,
so nice
there's been a lot of like, yo, you take that and bring it to me when you're happy with it.
Yeah.
And then I'll weigh in. Rather than before in the past, it was like, I need to hear every single step of the way.
Oh,
and
buddy,
I need
she was
to weigh
a mixer's worst nightmare. You had to be in the studio
Yeah.
with them while they were mixing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I think you've grown a lot in that. And then I also think in like a lot of strategy stuff, you love to be a part of the conversation, but like you can also step back from it a little bit and just like hop in when we need you.
Yeah.
Especially on like a lot of the riding stuff, it was kind of just like we're head down going, and then we pop up, be like, Jessie,
do, and I'm like, cool. Done.
Yeah.
You know how amazing that is for the team?
It's a beautiful thing to have once it's
there, but that doesn't come for free. That doesn't come for free.
Time.
The only reason that we've been able to do that is because of the trust that we've been able to build. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. And it took, you're right, it took time to cultivate that level of trust where I can rely on not being in the room and trusting it blind.
I remember,
it's so crazy to say.
I do remember actually specifically one point where you just let us go free reign, and it was first week before Love Came to Kill Us.
Really?
Because we were doing everything we could to get good numbers, and I just remember you were there, but it was like, hey Jessie, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do X, Y, and Z for strategic purposes to get the numbers up, and you were like, run it.
Yeah, run it.
Yeah,
and it was just kind of go.
We were just going.
Yeah.
We were just going. I remember even, Paul Rosenberg.
I think even some of the show stuff, like even with some of the show stuff, like you've built such a trust with your squad and the team that like we can kind of just move.
Yeah.
Like you used to have lighting notes on every single thing. Bro, I don't think you've given.
I have.
You have, but they're not. It's not. Major.
They're not as
it's
extensive
not major.
as
Like
they
the
used to
trust
be.
is there for you to just be like,
Do your thing.
Do your thing.
Yeah, it's
You're
nice.
dope. I trust that you're dope.
Yeah, you've proven the thing is, everyone I've worked with has proven themselves.
Yeah. And you got to let the people who are specialists in their specific field be a specialist.
You got to let a bird fly.
They're amazing people, so just let them be amazing. That's
exactly. I
saw you post that Jeff Bezos thing there, and that's dope because a lot of times that's more important than getting everything right. Just go.
I remember you said that to me once because I was complaining about something, and you were like, you want somebody to be perfect. If someone's 80% perfect and there's someone on your team, that is a fucking win. And I was like,
that's still honor roll.
Still honor roll. That's right.
Yeah.
And no one's gonna be. That's the thing, and this applies for everything in life. Like this applies for everything. You just can't expect perfection. It's just not realistic. But if someone's 80, what? That's such a fucking blessing. That's such a blessing.
It is. I think you have, but also like again back to the negotiating thing is like I think you're a really good communicator. I mean this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. No, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen to this day. Whether we put this in here or not, I don't know. But I've talked about this before quietly, but the illest shit I've ever seen Jessie do on a business side of thing. You know what I'm going to talk about?
No.
When Jessie negotiated in Lucian's office.
Hard. Yeah,
that was crazy. Hard. Let me. I'm going to tee this up because at this point now we're like maybe 4 months into this bidding war.
Yeah.
Lucian Grange is now aware of who you are. We're meeting with him. We're at his office in Santa Monica. You play him. I'll never forget. Like you played him, I think, "Mama" or something on the guitar, and he goes, "That's music." It's like that's music. And
so funny. It's not even out yet.
That's got to come out at one point. At one point, that's got to come out. Maybe you let that one fly next.
Maybe.
But we're spending some time with him, and then now it's getting really deep into the weeds of like where we're gonna go, and we put some terms in front of UMG or what we said we wanted to do, and he was down with everything.
Basically, like cool.
Everything. And there was this one point which I won't talk about what that point is, but that was important for you, and it wasn't in the agreement. And I'll never forget this, going into Santa Monica, and like that was the fucking sticking point. And for you, for us, all of us. And you're like, and him and I, we weren't even in the room. The shit was a conversation between you and Lucian Grange. And you were able to communicate very effectively exactly what it was that you needed, why you needed it, and you did it in a way that wasn't pushy. It was just sincere, and you were just, and he heard everything that you said, and he said, I'll never forget, he said, "Do you know how many artists I've given this to?" You're like, he goes, and then he did the thing that, he agreed to that one term.
Yeah, and he had the Laura's dried up right in the room. I remember he sent Jeff and David, he's like, "Can you guys just draft that?"
Right.
He drafted it right on the spot.
Right.
Printed it.
You remember that? What was going through your mind in that moment?
This is what I want, I guess.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pinpoint it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pinpoint it. But it was also like, I don't know, I get a kick out of challenge. I do. I get a kick out of it.
I think everybody in this business that is successful gets a bit of a kick out of the challenge.
Gets a kick out of the challenge, yeah.
And being told that they can't or shouldn't. It's just like,
watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the illest shit I ever seen in a negotiating business thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that was hard.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, this is, Sir Lucian Grange, arguably the most powerful person in the music business, and you're toe to toe with him over there in a meeting for about negotiating. You didn't have a lawyer. It wasn't us talking. It was you, eye to eye. We weren't even in the room. We were like fucking flies on the wall. I was just watching this, being like, whoa, it's crazy. This is crazy. So I kept going my head.
If she gets this,
yeah. I was like, yo, and then
he's either saying yes or get
the fuck out of here.
Yeah, say yes or get the fuck out.
Get out of here.
But you know what's funny is that if you're comfortable with both answers, when you were talking about the artists and label and do they need it, it's like, I don't think an artist can be successful at a label if they can't do it on their own to a certain level.
Oh my God,
like that
100%.
That's something that you have to have, whether you do a deal or not. You have to be able to do this at a certain level on your own.
You have to be self-sufficient.
You have to be self-sufficient.
It's crazy
how
true that is.
We operated in a vacuum those first couple of years.
So independent. We were fucking solid.
Yeah.
We were solid. And I've been in a situation at that label, at Island. Shout out Island. But that place has seen a turnstile
3 times
regarding
4
leadership.
times.
And every time someone, you know, you see it. You see artists that happens to, and like their point person leaves, or the person that believed in them leaves, and then they're fucked. And then they're fucked because no one's left in the building who believe in them, and then they don't have a lifeboat, you know.
Yeah.
But we came in with our own raft, so we were like, all right, like this is happening with or without, and you're either helping or
get the fuck out the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're helping or get out of the way.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, it never slowed things down.
Never slow things down, and I was so grateful.
Even though
for that.
we might have like internally been like, fuck this, like
Yeah,
we're pushing, but from the outside looking in, it never slowed.
It doesn't
things
stop.
down.
It doesn't.
stop.
When what's it saying? One monkey don't stop the show. Like
I've never heard that one, but
I never heard that one. I think that's made up.
yeah, I think you just made that up now.
But a lot of people, I think there was I think we also knew this as well too, like going in and when we were doing all this stuff and negotiating all these deals and figuring out which label to go to, we also knew like the day we signed was just day one. It wasn't the end.
oh no.
But a lot of people got that twisted.
People
A
have
lot of
that
people got
twisted.
that twisted.
People have
Yeah.
that twisted.
And we got
I did the deal. I'm good.
Like
Yeah.
I'm
Going,
still
I'm
hungry,
going.
bro. I'm hungry today.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah.
I'm hungry today. That's so yeah. That's such a fucked up,
No, we
sad,
were-
sad idea, because it takes it's such a fucked up, sad idea that people think that day they can relax.
Yeah, no, we were just like this is day one. We got to keep going.
Yeah.
But we had but man, it was not easy. People don't know like how challenging it was at the record label because it was David Massey who signed us, and then David Massey was not at the label anymore. Maybe like 5 or 6 months in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was soon.
And that was our champion.
He was our champion along with Jermī.
Along
But you know,
with
Jermī
Jermī.
is an employee. He's an A&R. There's only so much he could do, right?
Yeah.
But we still just continued pushing
Moving.
it. But I give credit to the executives over there, the
Yeah.
Michelle Anthony's. Shout out to Michelle
Yeah,
Anthony as well
Lucien.
too, and Lucien. They
Yeah.
like
Championed.
Champion.
yeah.
Championed.
But when the new regime came in there, it was tough. And I think this is where, for me, I could have handled it better, for sure. There was a lot that, like, it was fucking hard, man.
Girls.
No, I could have handled a lot of things a lot better. But I also did feel a type of way because I felt like they were kind of like, and not everybody, but like a few people were kind of moving like we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you just
really.
got here. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We've been doing this.
I get kind of, thinking about it. And then, but I remember it was like this whole conversation about the first album and how you needed to have features and this deluxe and all this stuff. And yeah, and it was like, and the prior regime, kind of left us to do our thing. And this new regime came like,
All hands on deck.
and there was too many chefs in the kitchen, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
too many chefs in the kitchen.
How do you navigate these challenges now?
Which ones?
Track listing.
Any
Labels?
like something that gets specific. No, yeah, just like when you come up against a challenge, how are you navigating it?
I love a phone call.
Okay.
I love a phone call, and I used to hate it, but it's so it's such a simple thing, and maybe it's so simple. Like
Well, she
for
called
anybody
me,
who's
she once called me 4 times in a day.
Wow.
yeah,
Record.
That used to
that used to never
never
happen. I used to be allergic to phone calls, like legitimately allergic. But
The list of allergies.
but I say that because to some people, like to y'all, it seems like
Yeah.
such a basic thing. But because you guys are great managers, or because you guys were like great at communicating, because you guys were like, but I was not in terms of that. Like I just did not. It's such a simple thing. If something's going left, and I'd be like, fuck this, and I'd want to flip a table and just leave me alone, and that's not conducive to great communication. That's not conducive to finding a solution. It's you should talk to someone, and work it out. So I love a phone call these days. Anytime that there's any point of contention, I feel like that really solves a lot. I wish there was a hack for I wish the sequencing, and like I don't know if that's ever gonna be a process that I don't know how I'll ever love it. I'll only ever love it, and I just don't see. It's almost like because how in mathematically there's so many different possible combinations. you know, and the chances of me
I think it's your worry that you're not getting it.
perfect.
absolute.
I know.
But you have to let that
man.
go.
I know.
80%.
I know. But
Yeah.
but honestly it's I've gotten better, but I still hate it.
For me, I find it like one of the funnest parts because
so
I
fucking
find
You do
songs.
enjoy that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, and I fall in love with songs after the sequence more than sometimes they are on their own. If I just listen to something on its own, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. But if I
Right.
listen to something on its own after a certain song
The
or before a
context of
certain
it.
song, the context of it
so-
changes. Yeah, it's perspective.
Yeah.
It's a perspective change. Like sometimes what plays before a certain song makes the next song better. And then I think also just the dealing with challenges, it's like you just always have to be willing to pivot, and you can't get
Yep.
too married to something.
True.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get too married to something, and it's I don't want to say like plan B, always have plan Bs, but it's
Be
like
flexible.
be flexible. And if like if something comes up and it's like, all right, this can't happen. Why can't it happen? Okay, cool. Well, how about we do this? And it's just like talk it through, like solutions.
There's always
It's not that
solutions.
I feel like we don't run into like wild challenges where we're like, oh fuck, like what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's much more liability.
Yeah. And then also I think it's like we're ahead of things in regards and just doing things with more intent, like early in the planning process.
Yeah.
That when a speed bump comes up or a roadblock comes up, it's like, all right, cool. Well, we can just like, if you're planning ahead, you're planning for something wrong to happen at some point, and then you can just
Always.
hurdle it or go around it
Yeah,
or
or
whatever.
take what was meant
Yeah,
for
if
over
you're
here.
expecting something to come and roadblock you at some point, then it's easy to just be like, well, I'm you just shift.
Yeah.
That's a good point. How are you in the studio now? I know you used to go into the studio and say like, I don't come with a set plan.
That's still the vibe.
100%. I felt like that's the answer because you're a true artist. You're not going in there with, and then like if you write a hit record, you write a hit record, but that's never the goal. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just like what that process is for you as an artist
Yeah.
and a songwriter?
Yeah. I mean, it's not long-winded at all. I just walk in and talk about whatever I'm going through. But that was always
Yeah.
that was always what I did. I guess
I think go ahead.
the major difference in how I approach now, the major difference
Mm-hmm.
is that I am much more willing to edit and change and like after the fact, and I turn over every rock.
Right.
Whereas before I used to be so committed to the rawness of the song the day
I
of.
remember that.
And then this, unfortunately, would by default cause more issues in mixing, and then in and like all these things because I was so committed and so in love, and yes, there's something to be said to maintaining the raw integrity of the day that the song was created, but that does not, it doesn't merit you leaving something at 50% potential of what it could be, you know, because the rawness you can still maintain rawness and pressure it enough for it to become a diamond. That there's still raw shit in the diamond. You just gotta try it. So I try everything now, and I make sure I turn over every rock. I make sure I like, if there's an ad lib off, I'll recut it. If there's just things I used to not do. I used to be allergic to it.
What people would call demoitis.
What people would call demoitis.
You had a severe case of that,
I
and
had a severe case.
a lot of artists do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what's nice is like this is what I needed, and this is what I'm fortunate enough to work with people that respect, that where there's mutual respect enough to know that we can get to.
Bring the mic a little closer.
We can get to turning over like so many rocks, and God forbid that it's not it. And I say let's go back to A or B or C, then that's respected.
Okay.
But at least I turned over every rock for it to have been.
Tried.
You know what I mean? So then it's different because even before I wouldn't even want to fucking try it. I'd be like, no, you're wrong.
Don't even. Yeah.
You're wrong. I don't even want to try it.
Yeah.
It's pure.
It's pure. But I'm able to still maintain the purity. I just do it in a different way now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now there was a time where you were also allergic to having hits for yourself. we'll get to it. And how, and people might be like, what are you talking about? But maybe you could talk about it. But, you know, are you still allergic to having hits for yourself, Jessie?
No.
Okay. What changed?
I think the thing that's the most obvious in what changed was my comfort level
Of success?
of success.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People don't talk about that a lot. I
No.
think it's probably more for high performers like you. I think it's more fear of success than failure.
Yeah, it's crazy how real that is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how insidious it can be too.
Talk about that a bit more.
But to be honest, I don't think I was wrong for it. Like, I believe everything happens how it's supposed to happen. I think everything has its purpose, and I think that had I not had that fear, I'd probably be dead. I don't think I would have been able to handle. I just don't think I would have.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have had the fortitude to handle it. And now
Like if it had popped at that time.
if it had popped, bro, I'd be dead. I'd be dead, and not figure. I mean, I'd be dead. I'd be dead.
That's heavy.
There was just too much. It was just too much, too fast, too quick, and that wasn't even like. It was the small fragment of everything it could have been, you know. And a lot of what I'm seeing now, and a lot of success that I'm seeing now, by the grace of God, I have like grounding, you know. By the grace of God, I have my health, physically and mentally, and it's not perfect by any means, but I have much more than I had 5 years ago. I have much more than I had 6 years ago, and I think that now, because I know that I have that solid point that I can ground myself in as a human being before I'm an artist, then I feel much more open and willing and ready for all the great things that can come with a higher level and like touching a new echelon, and like, you know what I mean? I could get there with more of an optimistic outlook, as opposed to being reluctant or subconsciously reluctant because I don't think that I'm mentally prepared for it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I hear you talking about momentum, and I remember, like, the honest truth was, like, you would try your best to derail momentum at certain times.
Crazy.
But to protect yourself.
Yeah.
It's like subconsciously.
And for us, at times, it'd be like, man, it would be, like, stressful. It'd be difficult.
But I was always like, I don't want it to be a big song. I want to start slow.
But sometimes
it was a slow
sometimes
burn.
you wouldn't like express that.
Yeah.
It would just be like, things would start to move and you would start to pull back.
Yeah.
And it was like,
go the other way.
But sometimes I didn't even know.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm
Sometimes
saying. It wasn't like an intentional thing. It was
Right.
definitely like
Subconsciously
you throwing things in front of the train.
But you weren't ready.
I wasn't ready.
But that's an important thing to realize. I mean, it's in many ways self-preservation.
Yeah.
Ensuring that you could still operate.
Yeah. Do you think you're ever ready, or do you think you're just more comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like no one's ever ready for shit to like really, really go.
Pop off, but
if you're comfortable with like, all right, throw me into the fire.
I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Because you're right. Like, I don't know what's gonna come, but I think that hit the nail on the head. I just have more faith in myself to be able to deal with whatever might come.
I'm a fucking scholar.
Yo, bro, I think you're a scholar. I think you know things. I think you're pretty good.
Should I take your job?
Here you go.
Co-host?
It's a great question. Hey, man, if you got the time, you co-host.
Manager's Playbook? Sorry. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't take my job. That's all I got going for me. No, that's a real conversation though that I think a lot of people don't really have. Like, and I think that stops a lot of people's success.
You see a lot of people go early.
You see a lot of people
go early.
But not even that. I mean, yeah, that could happen. But I mean, also, I think the more that we operate in this business, you can kind of see why things don't work for certain people. Not to say that it didn't work for you, because obviously you got a very successful career, in my opinion. But that's the thing that like people really don't talk about, is that how terrifying that success could be.
Scary.
And it's something we could. Sorry, go ahead. No, I was gonna say it's something that like at the end of the day, managers can never fully relate
never
to
gonna
because we're
understand.
never in front of it. Like,
And it's crazy because you're
we
so
have
right.
different sacrifices
Yeah.
and different sacrifices and different pressures, but we're not at the forefront of that.
In it to
We're not
understand.
we're
Bro.
not being conceived from the outside world as like a product.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a
it's
you're
You
a
get-
product
yeah.
essentially.
perceived.
We
Yeah.
conceive you as a human and all this, but like some other people will conceive it as like it's a product.
For sure.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fucked. And it's funny
It's a
too because
brand.
had I had more.
But you're aware of that as well too in the time that people are perceiving as a product and it probably fucks with you.
It fucks with you so much. But the thing, it fucks with you so much. And looking for solace or understanding in people or your team that don't really understand or feel or like, or like you said, like you don't have this, you're not wearing the same shoes, so you don't experience it differently. So it
Right.
might seem to you that I'm being dramatic or that I'm
Dragging your
being,
heels or
that I'm
yeah.
just tripping. Had I been, and I'm still introverted, but I was much more introverted then. And had I had friends in the industry, like other artists that I could have spoken to, that would have made a world of a difference. Because it makes a world of difference now, you know? And it's not like I have a bunch, but I have a few
enough.
that I'm like, fuck, I've never been able to talk about it with somebody.
Yeah.
And A, find understanding, and B is find understanding, because that seems like secondary, because you could find understanding with someone else, potentially.
Yeah,
you know?
empathy.
Yeah.
At the very least.
At the very least, potentially. But it's a risk to get there because you are speaking from a privileged standpoint. To anyone that speaks to you, if you're able to live in your vocation, that's like your dream, and you have the audacity to complain, that's how everyone else is going to perceive you by default. Because we as artists, anyone that's an artist that's able to like to play in the gift that God gave them and live their life off of their art, you have been blessed in a way that is so fucking unlikely. You're this much of society. So when everyone else sees you with your fucking luck, with your chance, with your like fortune, and you have the audacity to complain, everyone's gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But why wouldn't they? Because they don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand. So until you when you finally speak to someone that's in that little percentage with you, which again I know I'm speaking to a very small, because I don't, you know what I mean? It's just a smaller number of people who are lucky enough. But everyone's got problems.
Yeah.
Everyone's got problems. So when you're able to talk to someone that's in that world too, then it's nice because you can kind of lose some of that guilt, because I had a really hard time with guilt. Because the fact that I felt nervous and scared and fucked up about it was one problem, but then I had another problem because I was guilty about everything I felt.
Right.
I was so guilty about being scared, so guilty about not being present, so guilty about not being happy. I was guilty about not being happy.
Right.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's like a balance of understanding that you're blessed,
Yeah.
but then understanding that it's okay to just not feel great
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah. And cultivate community
Yeah.
where you can feel like you're
Yeah.
safe to articulate that.
So would you say it's important there to build that community of artists around
absolutely.
you? Yeah.
You don't need a ton, you know? It's like real life. You just need 1 or 2 real ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's some real shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those days too, man. I remember like one time, I think in a lot of ways this is going to sound kind of fucked up, but like I think COVID was a blessing for all of us because we were able to take a break.
I know. 'Cause what was a break, bro? What was a break?
There was
I didn't.
for 4 years.
What
You know
was
what's
a break?
You know what's funny though is that I wish I knew what I know now about that time when I went, because I don't feel like mentally I took a break during COVID. I took a physical break,
Right.
but mentally it was like, I think it was also
Oh, we were still on.
still on
Yeah.
when we didn't need to be.
Yeah.
In a way.
When the world didn't. When the world
Well,
wasn't
but
on.
we
need to be
decided
in a way,
to put out an album 2
We
weeks
decided-
into COVID,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah, we were still like trying to find things, to do,
Yeah, but we
So it
were
was a-
forced to slow though.
to slow down.
We
yeah,
were forced to slow down.
Yeah.
and to stay home and be
Yeah.
around family. And
I see that's the guilty part you're talking about. Sometimes I did feel a little bit guilty when people would be like, yo, it sucks that you guys, like, it seemed like this was it because we were about to go on tour with Billie Eilish and
Yeah.
US,
yeah,
The
Europe,
yeah.
and then you had your headlining run like shortly after that. You were gonna be on the road for 6 months. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know how the fuck we're gonna get through this, because I felt we were on fumes on day 2 of Billie Eilish tour. I felt that way. I don't know about you.
I was good, but I remember you were like, after day one, you were like, I'm fucking beat.
I was fucked.
Yeah, I remember you
fucked.
straight up telling
Well, I
me
remember.
back on the bus, you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do all this.
I remember you also on the second night or the first night, like the fans were chanting your name. You're the opener to Billie Eilish, and everybody, Jessie, Jessie. And I'm like, how'd that feel? You're like, felt. You weren't all the way there.
No, I wasn't. I was depressed.
Yeah.
I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
What?
There was a lot going on at that time. Yeah.
There was a lot going on. I was really depressed.
But listen, to the fact that because it wasn't our choice, but the world slowed down.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a blessing because we were able to at least physically reset.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, bro, sometimes I just think about it and I'm like if I find myself like really, really stressed out about shit, the thing that I always come back to is like, it's just music.
That's funny. The Beatles said that once to like
just
some
music, man.
I was having this conversation.
If I'm stuck on a decision and can't make a decision, it's
Just
like nobody's
music.
gonna die.
Nobody's gonna die.
Like, it's not that serious. We're in an industry that is literally not that serious.
It's not that serious.
It's play.
It's play.
It's play. It's like you're making things up. Singing. It's like it's make believe. You make things up. You sing them. We put it out. It's entertainment.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment.
It's art.
Yeah.
It's art. It's not that serious.
Not that serious. Valid.
Which is, I mean, it's it's not always that simple, but that's something. And I think out of COVID and out of that whole time, obviously like the slowdown and like that time was definitely pivotal for me because I was like a brand new dad at that time. But I think it's, you can do both. You can have, I was always afraid of like, can you balance? Can you balance?
You know what's
Can
funny?
you even be that? Like,
Yeah.
is it possible to do both and be successful?
I think
Because you see a lot of people's families cave or like it doesn't work.
100%.
Yeah.
Some people I don't know. I think most, I don't even know what balance is.
Dude, I don't think that you can ever achieve perfect balance. I think if you're always trying to balance, you're doing a good enough job. Like you're doing good enough. You'll get better at it. You'll get better at it. You'll get better at it. Because like,
well, you gotta sacrifice things. For me, it was
you
the
have
alcohol.
to sacrifice things.
For me, it was alcohol in so many ways.
Mhm.
Like I have way better balance in my life without drinking. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I haven't really talked about this publicly, but like that was the one thing, because I get drunk on a weekend. It take me like 3 days to recover.
Mhm.
The hangovers were insane.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I cut that out of my life, and it wasn't. I always say it's like I don't know if I'm done for the rest of my life, but I know I'm not drinking today.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, right? But I do remember like being off it for like a few months and just being like, my sleep was better, my eating habits were better, there was no anxiety, there was a lot like stress wasn't hitting me. I was like pretty good dealing with stress, but like all that started to change.
Yeah.
And I was just more effective. I was just more clear minded, and that was a sacrifice that I had to take, you know, because I enjoyed a drink or two or 12.
A drink or two or 12
or 12. But yeah, and that really helped, but that's a sacrifice as well too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sacrifice is necessary though. And I think also learning that like in this business, you're not the only person making the sacrifices. Like your family's sacrificing too.
Oh yeah.
And like the people around you, your
They
friends,
gotta understand
that they're making massive sacrifices too. And you sacrifice for each other. And that's important. And it like health over everything, family over everything, and like, bro, you gotta take care of yourself. And that's very easy. I'm the type of person that's very easy for me to forget.
As managers, for sure.
Yeah, very easy to forget. Like I'll just in my nature to put everybody ahead of myself.
Yeah.
All the time. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I heard someone say it the other day, like even when you're busting ass, you feel like you're not doing enough.
Oh,
and
I
it's
feel
like
like
I
that
feel like that every day.
all the time.
What could I be doing more? What could I be doing more?
Same.
Every
day.
day.
All the time.
But it's like having to check yourself on that and be like, you know what? Like, crushed it today. Or like, days off, you got to have them. Even though I'm still bad at that. I'm still bad at just taking like me time.
Yeah.
I'm good at
in the mornings, I just kind of reserve my mornings for myself.
I go through waves of that where I'm like good in the mornings, and then times where I wake up and I look at my phone right away. And right now I'm gonna look at my phone right away. I'm trying.
Well, you guys are on
We're
right
on
now.
our
You guys are
Yeah.
on right now.
Yeah.
And I want to get to that, but you know what I want to ask you, man? Like, how do you balance that as a father to a husband, a family? I can't imagine that's always been easy.
It's one of the hardest things ever, but it's like I said, it's like constantly being cognizant and trying. And sometimes I do it way better than other times.
Yeah.
I think it's like taking, kids, like kids are sponges, and like seeing them. And when I try my best that when I'm with them to just be with them. But that's difficult sometimes in this industry. Like, it's difficult to be with them, undivided attention. I think that's probably the hardest thing. But I mean, weekends, I really try to just like completely fuck off on weekends.
Yeah.
And like spend time with them and focus on them. And it's like, what are we doing? This is what we're doing, and hang. And I feel like just culture in general has just become way more acceptant of that in the last
That's fair.
Like
I think so too.
5-6 years.
Especially
Like there used to
mental
be that
health
like
is a thing now.
there used to
Yeah,
be
we
that
talk
like
about
brag
mental
how
health.
hard you work.
Yeah.
And now it's like, maybe don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The hustle
Like,
culture.
The hustle culture. And it's funny, man, because I always found that I always found that corny. And I remember people being like, I work all day, like, well, like,
Yeah, but you're also a West Coast man. So.
yo, it's funny because I always used to say this. I was
East
like, you
Coast.
call someone from Toronto, you're like, hey, what are you up to? And they're like, just working.
Just grinding.
Yeah, you call someone on the West Coast, hey, what you up to? And I could be busting my ass. I'm like, not much. I just say, not much. Like, it's just, I remember always used to say, I'm like, Toronto people are always grinding.
But the truth is,
Yeah.
half the time they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I
funny.
guess they're just telling the truth. But yeah, man, I mean, it's like probably the biggest the biggest thing in my life that I've like focused on is like, they come first, bro. Like, I'll walk away from this shit in a second for them. It's like the like, there's your passions, and then once you have the family, it's like, bro, if I'm negatively affecting them anyway, then like whatever I'm doing,
Yeah.
that's gotta stop.
Right.
So if it ever came to that, which I don't think it will, and it hasn't, but it's like, yeah, it's like,
Just letting you know right now.
No, but I'm an advocate. I've always been.
yeah,
an
yeah,
advocate for family
and I
first.
mean, I don't think you'd be a shitty person if like someone was like, nah,
and
like,
didn't understand.
didn't understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think most people understand that now, and I think most people would agree. It's like, yo, if anything was to come between you and your family, like, what, are you gonna pick your
Priorities.
career?
Yeah.
You gonna
Right.
pick your job over your family? Like, nah, man, you can't do that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, for older generations,
Yeah,
it's a little bit challenging.
yeah,
But
yeah,
for younger, it seems like it is. But also, I mean,
yeah.
it's just the times we're in as well.
Yeah,
too.
and it changes the way you work. Like, my time is more I'm way more efficient with my time, and my fucks given are less, like significantly less fucks given.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it gives you a confidence boost in terms of just like, yo, I'm like, I used to, you know what it does is it makes you realize how selfish you were like everything you were doing was for you. Even if you were in a relationship with someone and you'd be like, yeah, it's us. You're really doing this shit for you. And then once you have the kids, then it's like, okay, nah, like I have to be successful for
them.
for this whole thing. Like, this is a thing that I'm also like, you're also building that up. So
You've always had family on the road.
Yeah.
Mom and dad. I think we as management and on the business side, super blessed with how your parents navigated and operated around us, because there's horror stories about momager, dadager, and all that.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad.
sometimes it's the biggest. A lot of artists, it's the biggest thing in between management and artists.
Yeah. Many times,
Yeah.
that is the complete opposite
Yeah.
with your folks.
Yeah.
They absolutely out of the way, good vibes. They come for
Yeah,
the
they're
vibes.
the vibe curators.
They're the vibe curators. How important has that been, having them around?
Very important. I love them to death. They're my heart. It's such a lame thing when you hear execs say like the company's a family. You know, it's such a lame thing. But what's beautiful is that I feel like having my mom and dad around has really cultivated that.
Yeah, it has.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, it's a family environment around, especially on the road.
Especially on the road, man.
They had like a comfort level
They
to
had
the
a
road.
comfort level.
There's like
yeah.
this like built-in parent structure almost.
Built-in parent structure.
Yeah.
Like pseudo parents when you're on the road.
100%. And everyone calls my like my mom's my mom to everybody.
Yeah.
And my dad's pops to everybody.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, it's great. It's a blessing that I don't take for granted, you know? And yeah, man, it's just, it's very important. Especially because I'm like, I like being on the road, you know? Like, I haven't gotten, luckily, to that point where I'm like, because a lot of people are like, I fucking hate traveling all the time, and I'm like, I don't. I don't. And anytime that I have been like, fuck, I miss home, is because I miss them.
Miss them.
You know? Or I miss my brother's kids, or I miss my brother, and like, you know? But luckily, I've been able to always keep a piece of home with me.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You bring out the fam every now and again too.
I also got to shout out Sarah because like,
come on,
bro,
sorry. Shout out, sorry.
The amount that that woman has held my ass down, and like when we talk about like you make sacrifices, but like she's also made ultimate sacrifices to make sure that I'm successful, and just bro, she's like the CEO of the house, like. She keeps that shit in check.
Running,
Keeps that shit running. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she couldn't, like, I wouldn't be able to do none of this without her.
Got a dope record up.
I got a dope record out.
Featuring
Lil Wayne.
Louie.
Tunchi.
Tunchi.
You've had some incredible features and work with some A listers. What's this feel like? How did this come about, this record with Lil Wayne called Riding?
Me and the Monsters and Jeff Giddy.
Yeah.
And then after it was made, we were talking about who to feature. Weezy was up there. Reached out. And then I got a sick voice note of him being like, hey, baby, I just got to the airport and I heard your voicemail. All right, how do you want me to do it? You want me to rap here? And he's like, he did it. And
he's like, do you want me to just go off and just bar up?
Yeah, do you want me to bar up? Yeah. Such a
like,
sick
yes,
voicemail. Yeah. Pretty much I was like, yes, sir.
You said it. Nice.
And then he's, thank God, and he said it, and then he sent it back, and that shit was fire.
That's dope. Yeah. It's gotten a good response. What has been the difference in rolling a record out like this to prior times when you were rolling out songs? Anything changed?
Having more lead time with stuff. Like, we've had this for a minute.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that's right.
It's time to think about it, time to like be more intentional with what we did, putting together
suffice amount of content.
Yeah, lots of content.
Sufficient.
And putting it together early, you know, like the only thing that we didn't have in the can leading up to it is the music video. Like, that shit dropped on Friday, we delivered that on Thursday.
Yeah.
Like, the last edit came in Thursday morning.
And nowadays, the music video isn't as important as dropping it on the first day with the record, I don't think, at least.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. If you have the content, and we went through this a little bit, we're like, do we stagger the release? Do we drop it same day? Do we stagger? Do we drop same day?
Like A and B or compare.
Yeah, pro and con it. And I still think there is value in swinging hard on day one, and I feel like that's a little bit of the like, oh shit, she's back.
Yeah,
because you're seeing Weezy in it, you're seeing Jessie and Weezy together, and I think that's important. But I think if you're dropping just a solo record, you don't need the video on the same day. It's also been interesting just playing the feature game for a minute, because in the past we didn't really we didn't lean on the features.
We didn't lean into it at all.
And you can attest to this, and we don't really press anymore. If it's a chore, it's like all the features that have happened on this project
have been liquid.
Organic.
And it's not management to management. It's artist to artist.
That's always the best way.
It's artist the best way, because then it's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it.
But you're having a conversation, and then you're saying, I think this person would sound dope, and then you're like, yeah, I think so too. Reach out, and then you reach out.
And it's never like it's rarely been, anytime there has been a conversation of someone that we don't have the relationship with, those don't land. Those ones don't land. It's the ones that you already have had some sort of relationship with, or some kind of conversation or have met in the studio or have worked with.
Something.
There's some kind of dot already connected there, and then Jessie just drives it on.
Let's talk about some of those other ones. And do you guys mind if we talk about the marketing, actually, before I get into the other features?
No.
I think the one thing that was really dope and had a lot of people be like, oh, that's hard, was the billboard.
So that was Busy's idea.
Shout out Busy.
But it was like
Byron Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, it was a team. It was talking about it in a team effort of just like, yo, and looking at this from from what's the first thing people see to then how do we announce Wayne in like a cool way?
Yeah.
To when does the record drop? To what's the second phase? And it was like we had the content that we shot with Jake, and that was like that's Jake the Shooter. We shot like a bunch of content.
Yeah.
What?
Should probably move the water.
Why?
Oh,
because
Jesse's
in your okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was down here before. We had that content. I was like, all right, what's the best clip to come out and say like, hey, I got a new song coming. Find that. Okay, we found that. Roll that for a bit. All right, at what point are we gonna announce Wheezy? Cool. How do we do that in a way that's not necessarily like normal and just the easy way to do it?
Yeah.
And that's where the
Don't
billboard.
Be easy with Wheezy.
Yeah, that was where the billboard came up. Is like, yo, what if we run something that's just like someone in Toronto has? I think first we're like, Heard of Toronto local has a record with Wheezy, local artist, and then it was like, and then Jermī was like, yo, it should be Toronto Shorty, and then we changed that, and then I was like, okay, cool. What's a real dope quotable about the record? And it was the smack the booty like Fresh Prince smack Pookie. And I was like, okay, that's gonna be that's gonna be like the reveal, and then just kind of piecing it all together over a 4-week time frame.
Yeah, as opposed to like run and gun
decisions day of, which like, you know me, I hate those.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. That's the thing, is like it's been fun to watch roll out, and it's been fun to see people connect the dots. And what was really dope, and I remember you said this, like, yo, it's crazy how like people, like when the billboard went up, it's like Jessie wasn't necessarily the first name that everyone was saying, and that was what's sick about it, because it was like, yo, like once we connect that dot, then they're gonna be like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the cryptic,
it's not obvious.
It's not obvious, and the crypticness of it, like when it went up. And then sites started, or accounts started to post it, Jessie changed her Instagram bio to Toronto Shorty. So anyone that was like
a little bit clued
low
in,
key, and some fans were screenshotting her bio and posting it and being like, yo, like check Jessie's bio in the comments. So it was cool to watch that like kind of happen.
You know who caught it was Lucas caught it.
Yeah,
because Lucas was like, it's probably Jessie Reyez and she deserves it, and there was like 12 likes on that comment on one of the pages, and I hit him. I'm like, you're a smart guy. He's like, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. Shout out Lucas. Me and him actually talked the day before, so he already knew it was coming.
I don't want to put him on blast, but yeah.
But it's funny because certain people, like obviously, shout out Keeping Up with JR, because that girl don't miss nothing. And she had a real dope like Instagram story where she like pieced everything together.
Oh really?
Yeah. Okay. And it's cool to watch the fans do that, but then it's also dope from like a marketing standpoint to like almost help them put that together, like put that story in front of them and like show it to them and just be like, yo, and then it just spreads from there. But that's just fun. It was fun to see people connect with it, and especially Toronto.
How important? Why Toronto? Why is it so important for Toronto to see that?
It's a nice little bookmark ending, because you said it earlier. Like when your home embraces you, it's different. You know, getting a hug at home feels warmer because this is where your roots are, and it's important for the home team to be repping you. Like it's just important.
Yeah. Well, I'm just asking for the sake of it.
You also got to claim that too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think it's always super important. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier. For your home city to really rock with you. And like
a lot of people don't know, but like the billboard is across from where I got fired when I was like 18, 19 years old. When I was working at Good Life, and when I was trying to hustle music and making fucking nothing and going nowhere with it, but hustling and trying. So like the poetry of that is never lost on me.
Yeah.
You know, it's never lost on me. Anytime a billboard goes up and it's like on Spotify, that's the little billboard that says Toronto Shorty is across the street, and the billboard, the Spotify billboard, is literally on the building.
Right.
You know,
That I
and
remember,
I never, and that's something that's never lost on me. Where I'm like, man, bitch, look at life, look at life, look at God. Like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
How important is the marketing to the success of an artist?
So important, so important.
Is
It's your communication with the public that's about to either make or break you.
Do you think the song or the marketing is more impactful?
Oof. You want to go first?
I think that you can't. I mean, you can market the shit out of a shitty song, and people could hear it. But if you don't market a great song, nobody could hear it.
Oh, fair. So
You know?
marketing is the very
I think. I mean, you could not market. There's very few instances where like there's no marketing and something just goes.
yeah.
But I think it's
What are those instances?
Doja Cat's "Bitch, I'm a Cow."
No, but I.
no, but that is marketing.
That's marketing.
No,
That
but
is
it wasn't. That wasn't. Do you think that was by design? You don't think that was a genuine, just fun thing that did not intentionally have any
Virality to it?
No, not virality. It had natural virality, and I could be wrong.
But virality is marketing. If you're doing something,
virality is not marketing. Virality is marketing only if you have preconceived, deliberate planning behind the moment. But if the moment has no preconceived, deliberate planning, and then it's just strictly organic virality, then that is not something. That's something of itself. You know, that's not something that had any human endeavor behind it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I hear you what you're saying as well too. I would think though that there at least wasn't a conversation saying that like this is gonna fuck
This is
people's
gonna
heads
blow.
up. No,
Yeah.
I don't know about blow, but it's
You
like,
think there was a conversation behind "Bitch, I'm a Cow" where it was like this is a pawn move on the chess table?
Yeah, I think so. I think,
Interesting.
I think Doja's.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think Doja's incredibly intentional, and I think that
Yeah.
she's.
She knew that was gonna blow.
I don't know. You never know how the public is going to react to something, but I think that there's a conversation there saying that this is going to react, not to the level of I think maybe what it went to, but.
Okay, like maybe like this is gonna be funny.
There's conversations for sure. Yeah, I mean, just see where she's at today, and Gordon and her prior team, like how much work that they did. There has to be conversation, I think, but to the level that people connect with it, you never know. So there's a little bit of what you're saying as well too. I think personally,
You'd know with timeline, I suppose.
hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
I think there's a marriage between them where it's like, just to go back to what I said, is like you can market a bad song and get a little bit somewhere, but if you're marketing a great song, that's like you're giving that song legs. And there's these tools that literally every single person has at their fingertips. Like every artist, anybody has access to the same tools basically that you do. But it's like how you use those,
right? And
then also like tapping in on the opportunities and things that the general public doesn't. Like the general public doesn't know how to book a billboard. The general public doesn't know that billboard actually didn't run all day long. That ran for 30 seconds every 3 minutes for 24 hours.
Right, but you capture.
You know what I mean?
Moment.
But you capture the moment.
You think it's there all day.
You think it's
know
there all
a
day.
digital
You don't know that it switches. You like.
What was the cost of the billboard?
I think $2,500.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people might think that's tens of thousands of dollars.
Tens of
at one
thousands
point
of dollars.
It was that.
If it was static,
Yeah,
it would be
exactly.
tens of thousands of dollars.
Right.
But because it's digital, you can just, but it's static on the internet.
Yeah.
It's static online.
Yeah.
And that's where it matters most.
Who was the where was the point of contact for that billboard?
Nahum at UMC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
He been.
I was just wondering who the vendor was that they reached out to.
I don't know who the vendor was. I can find out though.
It's always good to know these.
I
things.
have it.
This
I
is
have.
like the purpose of trying to give as much game, right?
Yeah. I have it, but yeah. I mean, it's like that. If you can find those things that aren't available to everybody else, and you can capitalize on those, but then also use the tools that everybody else has and use them properly, and like use them in a way that other people aren't using them. That's where I think you kind of just level up and get ahead.
I totally agree with what you're saying because the way that I think about marketing is not so much like from a textbook or from like a specific person that just gives us advice. It's more so just constantly being tuned into what is happening, how other people are using it or how people aren't using it. It's just being very perceptive to it. And it just kind of being like a bit like just like addicted to figuring out what's the thing that is moving in. And that kind of, your algorithm kind of gives you back that, like if I'm looking at certain things online that are marketing specific, it'll kind of feed it back to you a little bit. So
it totally does. Once you start following certain shit and watching how certain things done, you start seeing more examples of that
across any social media platform, because that's just the way that it operates. And even that in itself is, I always am looking at like, okay, well, this is the attention economy. How do you get the attention? What are some ways that individuals are doing certain things? But if you remember, I wouldn't bring everything to you to do online for marketing. I would just bring certain things that I thought that fit within your wheelhouse, because I think everybody has their own authentic way of doing things. You can't give the blueprint to Jessie Reyez to another artist and think that's the way it's going to work. No. Yeah. It'll never work that way. No. Right? So
that cookie cutter bullshit hurts so much.
Yeah, it's impossible. You know what I mean? This like, and it's like, yeah, you know, run of the mill shit.
It's such a really fucking thing that you have to be cognizant of, because you run the risk of, if you do that too much, like you said it, and you're not going to bring everything to an artist that works for everybody else, but like if you do it too much, you run the risk of alienating everything you've built for the sake of trying to run with the fucking with the masses, and then you're fucking up what you built.
Exactly. You can't forget about those fans that fuck with you from day one. You the one thing that you want to do is you want to be able to have them come along for the ride with your career. Yeah. And the only way you're able to do that is to ensure that you stay authentic to how you do things. The records could be bigger, the presentation could be bigger, but if there's not something that's attached to who you are as an artist, like an emotional level to where this is over here, you're going to lose everything, I think. So you always kind of got to bring that. You got to have that. That's part of the personality, right? As we were saying earlier, like, you don't know how to be anybody else. Like, you're second best at that case, so you just know how to be Jessie Reyez. And that's what marketing is. How do you go and
make the most of that?
Of what? Yeah, because you said it earlier. The artist is the brand. The artist is the product. No matter which way, that's how people look at it, right? Yeah. But it's like, okay, what's the specifics to this person that is going to work? And then you kind of just figure out, you tweak things, right? Yeah. And then you go about it that way.
Trial and error, too.
A lot of trial and error.
You try shit.
That's the other thing. So many artists we were talking about get hung up on, oh man, this thing didn't get any views. Doesn't matter.
Try something else, pivot.
Well,
try again.
And guess what? That just means nobody saw the piece of content. So who cares if it flopped? Nobody's seen it.
That's funny.
Nobody's seen it.
Yeah.
And it didn't get any eyes? Well, nobody saw it. Who cares?
Nobody saw it.
Who cares that you didn't get any eyes because they didn't see it?
They didn't see it.
They don't know it exists.
Funny. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then it could fuck with you a little bit, right? But like, you just gotta keep it moving.
You gotta keep it moving.
You gotta keep it moving. You gotta let the L's wash off.
Yeah, man.
Is there a specific strategy that you guys have seen lately? It doesn't have to be with what you guys are doing, but we're like, yo, that's fucking dope. I really like how they rolled this out.
I mean, I love how we're rolling out writing. I mean, shit.
Well, we'll talk about that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I love that we have little Easter eggs everywhere that people haven't even directly connected to me yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in terms of outside of us, who we've seen, that I feel like is doing a great job. I mean, this is a while ago, but I loved when it was Summer Walker and her doing the throwback to tactile music.
Yes.
And having the hard drive in the case.
Oh, shout out to Carlin.
Yeah. That shit was dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
That shit was so dope.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know how they came about that? And I hope I'm not butchering the story, but Carlin told me that they came up with that idea because he saw that in an ad in the UK for another company or something, just a random company. And Yeah,
just applied it to that.
That's a fucking hack. Is like learning how to see great things and then repurposing and then making it your own is such a hack, because sitting there and trying to think of like you to reinvent the wheel.
None of this shit's new.
There's nothing new under the sun.
No, nothing new under the sun.
Nothing. And so you're working. You can work a lot smarter if you understand how to do that.
You can make a great combo of like other things that happen.
And then it becomes a new thing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a new thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of Summer Walker, speaking of LVRN, because I want to talk about some of the features that you've done. You've got records with Black. How did that relationship come about? What's it been like working with the team over there?
Was it you that pressed for that feature?
I pressed because we were, I think, a third date on the Being Human in Public, Being Human on tour. And I remember being in the first show. It was there for like the first 3 shows.
You were pressing on Imported, and I think I brought up Black.
Well, because Imported came out already. It was already on Being Human in Public.
Yeah,
it was on Being Human in
seeing
Public.
It live.
But it wasn't the feature with Black. But then I saw it live, and everybody was singing the chorus back loud. And I was like...
Yeah, the first show was Edmonton, no? Where we were like, what the fuck? This song just came out 2 days ago.
No, that was Kiddo Tour. Being Human in Public was... I think the first show we did was...
No, you're right. You're right. It was
Act 1,
Edmonton.
Act 2, when we made Chelito dress up in the deaths.
That was Kiddo.
No,
you're right.
No, but I didn't hear it. No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I didn't...
Bocello in the death suit.
I didn't hear on that show that the crowd was singing it back loud. Or maybe I did, because the only thing I was thinking about was Jessie's voice gone halfway through the show.
Yeah. That show was almost a 2-hour set.
The 2-hour set, and an hour in, Jessie's voice is gone. And now, and you know, your fans are dope. Your fans are dope because they're like, we got you, and they were singing every single song, like carrying you, basically.
Crazy, and that was like the first.
It was
like
show one.
The show one. Yeah, but you were in there like the day before rehearsing for like 20. I just remember sitting there being like, at one point, like, I don't think this is good for her voice. and then
full voice belting in rehearsal,
gone. And then Calgary was the next day, and I remember it was in Dallas where I heard it, and I was like, the fans were loud.
That's where you heard it?
Well, that's when I came to you guys, and I was like, yo, this Imported record, I know it's like just a track right now, but we got to do something with this. And we were on the bus talking about it, and we were talking some names. Black came up to what you spoke about earlier. You said, yeah, I'll reach out. And 2 weeks later, he came through with the verse.
Liquid.
Iconic bars. Hi, my name is Black, but sometimes people call me Six Lack. Jeez.
It's such a testament to like highlighting the fucker, like highlighting humanity and highlighting the realness.
That's the real data.
Would shy away. Yeah.
No, go on.
Oh, that's right.
No, you're good. You're good. Don't matter.
Most people would shy away from that, you know, but he didn't. He just highlighted it.
Oh, how people got his name confused.
Yeah.
That was such a dope bar. And I do remember as well too, us going back and forth saying, yo, should we put Black's verse on first or Jessie's verse? And we're like, nah, let's highlight Black first. And he put on his verse first on the record. It was, again, a lot of strategic conversation. And then that record did what it did, you know?
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you guys have done a couple of songs.
That's my friend. That's my friend. For real, it's so nice to be able to say that, and what I said earlier.
He's cool peoples.
He's such cool peoples. And like just what I said earlier about being able to like talk to someone that's in it.
Yeah.
That understands what you're going through, and I can actually be a friend. It's just really, I value it a lot. Apart from having a great working relationship, apart from having great chemistry, apart from having like, you know, so many records under the belt and having successful records under the belt. Apart from that, like him just being dope.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, he's super cool.
He's dope.
Just easy to deal with on set. My experience with him is limited, but very easy to deal with on set. And even when you're not on set, when you see him out in public, he's super accommodating. Yeah. Super chill.
Almost to the point where you think, like, there's times where he's so chill. I wonder, I'm like, yo, you good? Like, are you good? He's like, no, I'm great. Like,
yeah.
Are you really good? No, I'm great. Okay.
But
cool.
also just
it's just like when we were doing the Forever shoot, and that was like run and gun, like super run and gun guerrilla shoot, and I'm like, oh, I hope he's okay with all this. He's like,
Oh yeah.
he's like, I'm good. I'm like, sure. Like, I know it's cold, and like, he's like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Shut up, I'm fine.
no qualms, no qualms. And then came back to the show, came back to the venue, because he was popping out that night.
Yeah.
And he just hung in the green room through sound check. Like, he just chilled the entire time.
That show in L.A.
Then,
No, in Atlanta.
And then I fucked up and sang over his verse.
What?
Bro. Bro.
I was
Comes out for Forever, does his part.
comes out for Forever, does his part.
But then Forever goes into Imported.
Okay.
And then he stays on stage. Sorry,
You go ahead.
stays on stage. And Jessie does, because technically he's supposed to start the song, right?
Yeah.
But the way we have it arranged is Jessie goes, then he goes. Jessie goes, and then his verse comes up.
And I start doing ad-libs.
And Jessie just sings over his entire verse, doesn't even let him rap.
And I think
Where
So
he's
he doesn't-
supposed to rap.
So he doesn't do his verse?
No, he doesn't do his verse.
He's just
kinda
looking at
standing
me,
there.
and I think he's looking at me, hyping me up. So I'm like,
Bro, she's dropping to the floor. She's like, I'm killing it. And I'm sitting there and be like, what's she doing? It's his verse.
No.
Yeah. And then she comes
Because
off,
you're used to doing his verse?
bro,
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you spaced up.
and then she comes off stage and she's like,
skip
and
it.
I'm like, you just rapped over his entire verse. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you just rapped over his
And
entire
I
verse.
sink.
And she's like, no, I didn't. And she does the thing where she falls to the floor. She's like, no. She's like, well, I did. And I'm like, yeah. And then he comes around the corner. He's just like
shaking his head. And
shaking his head.
Really?
So
Bro.
sorry.
So she turns around, goes back out. And she's like,
I was
yo.
like, fuck it, we're doing it again.
This is
Fuck
after
it,
the
I don't
encore.
give a
She's
fuck.
like, yo, y'all stop. He's like, people start to
leaving.
clear
I was
out.
like, hey.
Come back here.
Really?
Pulls it up, does the song
Yeah,
again.
but I kept it real. I was like, so y'all, I was so amped to have this motherfucker here. I'm so excited to be here. It was real. It was like so much excitement and so much like, and I was like, I definitely just sang over his whole part. So you guys are going to get 2 performances and everyone's like,
just redoes it. Yeah.
And then we
And this
did it
lights
again.
are up and everything, and you people are walking
no,
out.
it wasn't
Okay.
that. It wasn't that deep into it.
And he was cool with it. He came through.
You
and
know
just-
he was cool with it.
Of course.
Yeah, he was like, all right, cool. Goes
So
out,
chill.
knocks it out
Of
the
course.
park. And it's Atlanta. It's his home
It's
city.
his
It's home city. And like the way the venue's built is like, is a big deep floor, but then the balconies are pulled forward. So
Yeah.
the balconies, and there's 3 balconies.
So
So
they're just
they're
on
right
top
in
of
your
you.
face.
They're on top of
They're
you.
like right here.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what?
It's
You
like
know
that
what else?
European
You know why
thing.
we had to do that? Because that was the night that we were shooting the live performance.
yeah. We shot the Forever performance.
And so I really fucked up. Because we were filming that for the. That was
We
such
only-
a
Oh, you were
fuck up.
filming that for
We were
that?
filming that for a live.
Yeah, we
performance.
had like 3 different angles. We were shooting the whole thing. We only ended up using Forever, but
You got to put that out now. Now that we're talking about it, we got to put it out.
We only had to use-
If we're talking about
it's
it here,
so funny.
that'd
bro.
be funny.
She's
Like
just
you can,
looking at her, smiling,
you can
and
tee it
she-
up.
I'm
She's
bouncing.
looking back. She's like,
Oh, I gotta see this. And he's looking at you like, yeah, I guess.
No,
like-
he was. At least he was. It was a genuine smile because he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
yeah. It's so funny.
That's a good story.
So funny.
That's what happens.
And then when you joined them, and then we still make the joke when he brought her out in LA, like right before you went on stage, or wait, when he came back to like run you through it, we were just making a joke about like don't steal his verse.
He said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
steal
like,
his
hey,
verse.
just so you know.
Yeah, let me sing.
That's a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have made some amazing records together.
There's more too.
Okay.
Oh shit, he said it.
Yeah.
He said it.
He said
I,
it
didn't-
multiple
I knew
times.
that. I didn't want to bring it up, but that's good to hear. Y'all gotta,
There'll
listen.
always be more. It's kind of
y'all at some point got you. Hey, if I'm putting my consulting hat, which I'm sure you guys already know, drop an EP, a 6, 7, 8 song record,
it's
and
in
then go on the road together.
Yeah.
Don't charge us for that idea, dog. We've been.
I ain't
saying
charging.
I'm.
Hey man, I'm just pushing it along. I'm just trying to get it across the finish line. But
Yeah. All
that's-
right. We need execution. So yeah, sure.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what it comes down
That'll
to.
happen. It'll happen. It's just
God's
it'll-
time.
Yeah.
On God's
He's
time.
been on the road working his project for the last
Let's talk.
year almost.
Let's talk about another feature. We'll do a couple more features. I mean, you've done so many incredible ones. Marshall Mathers, Eminem, Slim Shady. What was that like for you?
Insane. I mean, y'all remember when we went to the studio and I was like,
Mhm.
Tell that story.
there's not a lot of people that I've been nervous to meet, but M was one of them.
Yeah.
and I walked in, or he walked in because we were waiting.
Well, I got the text from Paul, his manager, Paul Rosenberg.
I think we were like, you guys were at my house.
No, we were in your car. So there's three of us in your car, and you're about to drop us off, and we were about to go our separate ways. And I got this text from Paul because it was in between Coachellas, and he's like, "Yo, basically like, where's Jessie at? Where you at?" I'm like, "Oh, we're in LA, whatever." He's like, "Oh, come pull up." And I said to you guys, I was like, "Yo, Paul just said for us to go pull up to the studio with M." And we were literally a couple of blocks away from them. We're
a couple
like,
blocks from there.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
We gotta go. And then we pull up, and I remember like Denon Porter's in there, Mike Epps is in there.
Yeah,
he's like trying to sell a script to some. I don't know what's going on. He's pitching somebody about an idea. I think he was pitching Dre, maybe, if I'm not mistaken. And then we were hanging out with Paul in the lobby there, and then you could take it from there.
And then I walked in and I was like, oh shit. Internally, I was trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
I was really trying to keep it together.
You did not.
I did not.
You let out the gas.
I let out a gasp. I hugged him and I was like,
yeah, you're like, oh man. Oh my.
Oh my.
It's so fucked.
It's real.
It's real. I was really, it was a lot, man. I looked up to that guy, I look up, like, so, it's Eminem.
Yeah.
And I remember praying. That I could make something great. And, like, the process not... Because, every now and then, I always talk about, like, the faucet of inspiration. Sometimes it'll be a drip, and sometimes it's just a fucking river.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember praying. I was like, Lord, let it be a river. Let it be a river. Because it meant a lot. And then he played good guy, right?
Played the beat.
He played the beat, and I was like, perfect. And I just started rocking.
One story that I remember from that is...
Well, go.
I remember playing music and Paul saying something like, "Oh damn, so you've been through it, like, with relationships."
He said that to me?
Yeah, he said something like that out loud, and then M was kind of like sitting at the wall. He turns around, he's like, "I can relate," because it's just like, been there.
He said that? Wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one.
I remember that.
What I do remember is being in the studio, and to your point about the faucet, Good Guy B came on. And M and Paul are like sitting in front of you. You and I are in the couch in the back, and then you're just hearing the beat, and you got the engineer to put it on loop, the bars or whatever, and then you're just doing this and kind of reciting some stuff in your head, and then 20 minutes later, what?
Because Busy says it's me going autistic. He said when you go all autistic.
When you go all artistic?
Yeah.
Autistic.
I know.
I know. Oh, sorry. Artistic.
Yeah. So Jessie's doing this and eyes closed, and she's just zoning out, and it's like 20 minutes, and it's kind of some voice notes, and you put this voice notes together, and you go to M, and you're like, "Can I get set up in the booth to record?" And I remember M turning around, and he goes like this. He's like, to you, he's like, "Now?" And you're like, yeah, just set me up. You're like, "Yeah, sure." And then got the engineer to set up a mic. You go in there. He turns around to me, and both M and Paul. M's like, "Is that how she works?" I'm like, "Every day." I'm like, this is how she gets down." He's like, "Shit, that's incredible. Like, that's not my approach." He's like, "I couldn't do that." And then you went in there and you did your thing, and we were like, wow. And then that's when you played Nice Guy afterwards. But like, he was floored by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy to see a GOAT give that kind of praise. Yeah. Ended up doing the video to Good Guy. That was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being in that session and him being like, "Yo, I love your beats," and then you were like, "Yeah, it's like Tim Subi does a lot of shit." And then I remember going out the lobby and calling Armand and be like, "Yo, you gotta send a folder."
Send a folder, yeah.
And he sent a folder, and then I think Tim got 3 or 4 on that album.
Yeah, he did. He got another one that wasn't even. Yeah, he got another one that wasn't on that record.
I love that.
Yeah. Shout out Tim. Shout out Subi. Mm-hmm. Shout out Armand. Shout out Subi. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, other good folks in this business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Solid. Armand too. Yeah, man.
Yeah, day oneer.
I gotta show y'all the photo that I took at Timmy's, because he still remember that billboard, and I used to always draw on it, and like, you're on there, Like Cartoon U's on there. Cartoon Biz is on there.
Vaguely
Cartoon Timmy's on there.
Vaguely remember. But it's still up there?
Yeah. Yeah,
all that's still there?
He has a sign that says "Do not erase."
Really?
Yeah, I gotta show y'all.
That's dope.
It's so fire.
Let's get into just another feature here.
Okay.
It's like, you know, the earliest of the earliest. Calvin Harris. Walk us through what that experience was like.
Before he knew? Like government days? No,
not that. Yeah.
Okay. So throwback to when we were talking about the figures frenzy.
Some people are gonna ask what government days mean, so you probably have to. What's government days?
I used to, when I was working at Good Life, and I was doing bottle service on the weekends, and I was a cheerleader as well. I was also chasing music, all 4 directions at once. I had that work ethic. I've had it forever, and I owe it to my parents because I had a front row seat to them being that way. And I had friends that were going to Labor of Love and Government nightclub in Toronto, and they wanted me to go, and I was like, nah, because I couldn't justify going when I had shit to do and music to make and money to make. And they were like, come, buy your ticket, just come. And I was like, I don't know. And then I was able to justify it to myself when I was like, okay, cool, I'll just bring mixtapes and like hand them out, because I would always have mixtapes on me. So I had like 6, and it was like a CD that I'd burned, and I didn't have envelopes. It would just be like on a piece of paper, and I'd wrap the paper around the CD and put my name and my number, a smiley face, and bless it. And I had those in a purse. And then for a few DJs, for Cascade, for Steve Aoki, and for Calvin Harris, I handed them out at Government one night during one of those festivals or during one of those events. And I snuck on stage for Calvin, and I waved the CD in the middle of his fucking face while he was fucking DJing like a genius. And he kind of looked up, and you know when someone's like flabbergasted, like he was like, what?
You're really doing this?
You what the fuck? Yeah, it was like a smile,
Right
but
now?
it was like a really?
Yeah.
And I was like waving it, and then someone from his team saw it finally, and they ran up and they like yanked it out of my hand and were like shaking their head, and I was like profusely saying thank you. And then I look over and
That's
security.
probably Paul McRae.
And then security bagged it, and security was like, and they started walking up to kind of to kick my ass out, and I was like, well, I can't get kicked out. I got more CDs to hand, so I fucking jumped off stage, and then my friends that were watching were like, yeah, and then I handed another one out to Cascade and another one out to Steve Aoki.
Now that was years prior to him reaching out to you.
But then fast forward fucking 5 years maybe, when the Figures Frenzy started, I started getting
It was actually after that.
Yeah.
A little after. But what the Figures Frenzy did, and people starting.
It was your Soho tour, and where Gillespie came through to the Soho House show in LA, and Natalia begged Gillespie to go to your showcase.
I love Natalia.
I actually talked to her the other day, funny enough, and it made me think about that. And I'm pretty sure the person that showed Natalia was Rochelle.
Oh,
yeah,
Rochelle?
it was.
Really?
Rochelle.
Yeah, it was Rochelle.
Showed Natalia.
Really?
Natalia showed Zach. Natalia showed Paul.
Yeah.
McRae.
Connectors are crazy.
And then Paul had us in, and then that's how we started to build with them. And then we had dinner with that squad.
Yep.
And then Natalia begged. Paul and Natalia were coming to the Soho show, and Natalia like begged Mark, was like, "Yo, you should bring like everybody to the show." And I remember Mark standing at the back, the very back, and it was you and Beast.
Oh, that's right.
Playing.
Or Priest.
Priest was playing live at that show. He
That's
played
right.
Figures live.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No way.
Yeah, you don't remember?
No.
Yeah, Priest was playing.
That's when Mark told Calvin, like, "Yo, you should reach."
Crazy.
Yeah.
But it's crazy the connectors of how the connectors happened, because Rochelle found out about you from Armand and Tim.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we found out, and we linked through Tim through
What's his name?
London.
Is it?
It's London.
London, not London.
London from Dreamhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Who's funny because I just saw AG yesterday. London from Dreamhouse worked a lot with Timmy and was like, "You should link with my guy."
That's right. Yeah.
And then that's how we linked with Timmy.
Crazy. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
London. Shout out London.
Shout out London. Shout out AG. I just
Shout
saw
out
him
AG.
yesterday too.
Yeah.
He was like, "Whoa!" He came by the.
Oh, the remix?
Yeah.
Dope.
And Armand linked Dana.
Crazy.
And
Did
Dana
Armand link Dana?
Armand put me in touch with Dana, and Dana linked DJ.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I remember linking with Dana in Chicago.
yeah.
We met at a coffee shop. We spoke for like a couple hours. I was like,
Yeah.
I remember staying at that house in Chicago, remember?
Yeah, the Biz 3 house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At the Biz 3 house. That's when you,
Which is so funny.
You first incorporated. And you had to incorporate Jessie's Family Inc. You did it. We did it there at Biz 3 house.
Really?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
I remember that.
It's so nice to have 3 brains to remember it because you don't pick up everything and it's just things that were like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But you went, so Calvin Harris reached out to you, and then next thing you know, you guys end up writing together for like a week.
Yeah.
And then in that,
Yeah, because it was supposed to be just like a 1 day or 2
like
days.
2 days, and then it
Mhm.
was
And then it
just
turned
you
into
were
a-
just writing in the afternoon, gardening in the evening, like with Calvin Harris.
Yeah,
And then you guys, out of those sessions, I believe you guys did One Kiss.
one of them. Yeah, that was the first one.
No, was it? Didn't y'all do Funkwave stuff first?
I think that was a part of that whole thing.
Because the Funkwave stuff came out, like the
Hard to Love?
Hard to Love, the Kehlani record.
Am I fried? Wasn't One Kiss on that?
No.
Oh.
One Kiss
No, but
was
it
a
was-
one Kiss a bit after that.
Also, maybe. It was
But
a
maybe you
little
guys
bit
did it during the same time, or
we
maybe
might
it was
have
the
because
second
we just
time.
be
But
making.
Yeah.
basically everything you guys did together.
I still
during that
remember the
time.
demo of that of One
Of
Kiss.
what? Really?
Very different. It's on the piano. It's
Yeah.
very different than what came out publicly. All right. But I think that's like, I don't know Calvin like that. You would know him better. But I mean, what is the process like working with Calvin?
We vibe, and I love starting from scratch, and he doesn't. But sometimes he would do
Okay.
it for me.
Okay.
Oftentimes he'd have something pre-made or some semblance of something, and then we'd go. But I just remember me being like, chords, let's go, and then he'd concede sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have made
But he's
real records together.
he's such a he's one of the people where I'm like, taste goes a long way, especially because I'm so free,
Yeah.
and he's really good at letting my freedom come out and then being like, ooh, this section belongs here more than where I intended it, and he'd map out, you know.
I think that's a great producer.
It is a great producer. You know who else does that? Is Monsters and Strangers.
Nice.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do that too.
Both
Like,
have incredible track records.
Both have incredible
Yeah, they
track
do.
records,
Yeah.
and they don't override.
Mm-hmm.
And if God forbid if a man ever comes, like, I'm not good with override. I'm good with teamwork, but I'm not good with override, especially when it's like my raw shit, you know. And it was nice because then I'll do something and then they'll be like, oh, well, I have one note, and like we feel like this would work better here, and then we try it, and then I'm obviously not. There's just no ego with the song. It's what's best for the song, right? So I heard it. I was like, oh, they're right. All right, cool. Let's live with it, you know. But it's just one of those things where it helps to have someone that has a different vantage point in the room, different perspective, and then and can help you shave your sculpture into more of a masterpiece.
I feel like you've always said that about Calvin, though, is that like he has a good scope of how he wants the record to sound, and he doesn't really.
And in order for you to be able to successfully create, you need to have a sense of like safety, which is so funny, but it's safety. It's safe enough to make mistakes.
It's like monumental because you guys wrote One Kiss together. It's a massive hit record. And for us too as well, somebody that helped us throughout our career, especially early on, was Mark Gillespie, which is Calvin Harris's manager.
He was very influential when we were negotiating the deal.
I mean, he like
walked us through a lot
I
of
think
shit.
I can say this. I don't think he'll mind. I think his thing is always like, it's your story to tell, so you tell it when you want. But like Mark was the one. We went to his office and we're like, how do we do this? He's like, I'll help you put the deal points together. He put it all together.
Crazy.
That was Mark.
Yep.
And we looked at it, we're like, yeah.
Looks good.
Looks great. Sent it to DJ. DJ thought the same thing as well too.
What a thug.
That was Mark.
Yeah, what a thug.
I remember he handwritten, like it was like handwritten, like he's done this before in his sleep. Mark Gillespie's a G.
There's
He
always
is
things
such
that
a
he was
G.
like,
Mark
make
Gillespie,
sure you get this, make sure you get this.
And at the time, Mark Gillespie was managing Calvin Harris, Travis Scott, Frank Ocean.
Yeah. No, he didn't have his plate full or anything.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Not
no
at
big
all.
deal.
2016, you had this. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like a couple months after, or like a year or so after Blonde, you know, and I think Rodeo and all that. So it was like a crazy time. And Calvin Harris was dropping Funkwaves, maybe.
Yeah, it was when it was like the Funkwave time.
Funkwave, yeah. What are 3 books that you would recommend to folks? Can be about the music business, doesn't have to be about the music business, but 3 books that you think folks should read?
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle is life-changing for your spirit, for your ability to cater to the world that you're in the hustle mentality, but also doing it in the right way and training your brain to approach something new. Mind Hacking by Sir John Hargrave, I think, is amazing.
That's a good book.
It's such a good book. And The Game of Life and How to Play It. That's a new favorite for me right now. I really love it, and it's the thickness of my pinky, so you literally have no excuse. It's so good.
By the way, I see you're reading Atomic Habits, and that's
I
become.
finished it. It was good.
That's like one of my favorite now. That's you were talking about earlier, like a book that you go back to. I go back to that all the time.
The best quote that I got from that book, and it's not James Clear.
I think so, yeah.
James Clear's quote, but it's Carl Jung's quote that he included in there, and it's like the subconscious will run your life, and you'll call it fate. It's such a bar, and I'm condensing it. I think it's a little bit longer, but that's the gist of it. And it's so fucking imperative for you to learn how to objectively critique yourself. Because if you don't, you are fucked. You're fucked. You know? And it helps so much in every aspect, not just in business, but in self-development, which should be priority. Because if you don't have self-development, but good, like, it's very rare that you'll have good business while being a shitty person. Very rare. Happens, but it's rare.
Very rare. It's been a crazy, crazy career, kids. It's been listen, I really appreciate the time here. It's a late one. This was overdue. This is overdue. It was nice to reminisce, go down memory lane,
and then get back to work.
But no, listen, I again, thank you so much for doing this. First artist on the Manager's Playbook, and I hope I can do this with other artists and other managers.
Yeah,
you know?
first of many.
Yeah, and no, this is a fun one. I mean, it's just ultimately a lot of stories that are being told, and I can't thank you guys enough for doing this, man.
Yeah, don't mention it, bro. You're crushing it.
Thank you. Likewise, I really love the stuff that you guys are putting out there right now, man. You know,
this is your element. You're good at this.
Oh, thank you, man.
Like it seems natural to you, and watching them, it's like I almost forget that you're the homie when I'm listening to them. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'm not listening to it from that aspect. It's like I'm entertained. So,
and learning.
Yeah.
Appreciate
and learning.
that.
Yeah, and it's cool hearing other people's stories. It's, even people that I know.
Right.
That's what I love about it is like a lot of these people that you've been interviewing, I know personally, but it's just dope to hear their story and how many similarities there is between all of us.
Yeah.
What do you find is the most reoccurring similarity?
That's a good question.
I feel like a lot of people just came into this shit like with somebody. Like there's like the first thing that they had.
Without crazy experience.
Without experience.
I say that all the time.
Crazy experience. So people just learn as you go.
Yep. And oftentimes if you are looking to get signed by a superstar manager, you got to know that you're not going to be
priority.
You're not going to be priority.
Because their priority is already the person that they came into the dance with.
Exactly.
He's already the person that they came into the dance with, yeah.
So it's better for you to come in with somebody that you could trust.
Like a
doesn't
rider.
have all the doesn't have all the know-how, but just like got to be about their wits and smart, you know.
Yeah.
But and really care about the person and the end goal. Yeah. Yeah. And on that note, it's a wrap. Ladies and gents, meow meow meow. Wicked.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Big things, dog.
Appreciate you. Keep killing it.